You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
Luca! Happy New Year to you. Listen, this is the land of Calypso. Mama, this is the land of jam. In Trinidad and Tobago, it's a plenty Calypsonian. Calypso is heavy jamming, commentary and pecan. So if you can't bounce and swing, you just don't belong. And if for some reason Calypso making you blue, listen to me carefully, I have some advice for you. If the ills of society is reflected in Calypso, and you can't take the jamming, back up the thing and go. And if the Hindu man is a racist, and the Calypsonian says so, and you can't take the jamming, back up the thing and go. Back your bag, back to Kaone, back your bag, you and your AG. You could try your thing with the media, but you can't muscle guys so. And if you can't take the jamming, back up your thing and go. Back your bag, hey man, back your bag and go. Back your bag, mister, back your bag and go. La da die, die, die. Calypsonians, jam all of them. You was right there sitting down laughing. Calypso was no problem. But soon as you enter office, everything change up. Calypsonians are no racist, wicked and corrupt. But I want to remind you, just in case you forget, the journey now start this party can't done, we now start offend. Nobody has stand and call you. You jump in the thing just so. If you can't take it jamming, back up your thing and go. You have a problem with timing, and that everybody knows. But if you can't take it jamming, back up your thing and go. Pack your bag, back where you come from. Pack your bag, go and drink your rum. The girls could climb up your ladder from Cuba to San Fernando. But if you can't take the jamming, back up your thing and go. Pack your bag, hey man, pack your bag and go. Pack your bag, mister, pack your bag and go. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Mama de gelinde, mama de ude. You have your own religion, exclusively for your race. That is racial discrimination taking place in front we face. Then you have your radio station playing music just for you, perpetuating your culture and your race too. Then your big belly partner sat on a panel and say, if the daughter take an African spouse, he go this one, she the same day. That is dividing the society, but you wouldn't tell him so. If you can't take the jamming, back up your thing and go. And since the Hindu name on we money, that is a booster to his ego. If you can't take the jamming, back up your thing and go. Pack your bag, you and your party. Pack your bag, back with unity. You and your partner is Darrell McCoy, but Ken Gordon is a Suno. If you can't take the jamming, back up your thing and go. Pack your bag, hey man, pack your bag and go. Pack your bag, sing for them. Pack your bag and go. Da, 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 da. Thank you. The culture of the people is what you must understand. You have to learn to handle Mama Guy and move along. Take a tip from Eric Williams and let the jackass pray. But listen attentively to what the jackass say. Because if we know you like liquor, regardless of your point of views, when we meet you in the savannah, we sure to kill you with booze. We have a very expressive people. How we feel, we will let you know. And if you can't take it, Jamil, pack up your thing and go. That's the way it has always been and will continue to be so. If you can't take it, Jamil, pack up your thing and go. Pack your bag, Ellis have a flask. Watchman have your glass. With due respect, the right honorable, I call your name in the guy, so. If you can't take it, Jamil, pack up your thing and go. Pack your bag. Hey man, pack your bag, pack your bag and go. Pack your bag. Pack your bag, pack your bag and go.
Think it over, think it again. Listen, if all of you are shorty, chalk dust, any one of them tell them I what George say. Think it over, think it again. I sit down listening to my radio. They say they're going and jam some calypso. They say they have something brand new from Raw Shorty. So I sit down patiently listening to he. But when I hear the man start back talking preacher, and then he start to diss up at Jala, is when I hear he start calling Iwa George name. I hold my head and start to ball, not my name again. 3 years ago he say, Iwa you singing Tata. Last year he come back with the same Tata. It look like Shorty I running out of lyrics, and he want me to teach him a few new tricks. I is the man who sing boom boom 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and every time I sing it the people does whine. The Shorty never used to treat young guy so young so crude. I will that teach him how to gamble and eat some food. Think it over, think it again, Mr. Shorty. Think it over, think it again, Hail Selassie. Think it over, think it again. Cause everybody knows I could sing Kaiso, the party side of me. That is how I does maintain my family. Think it over, think it again, Mr. Chalk, just think it over, think it again. They're trying to tell people I cannot sing calypso. It's only boom boom and to the Iowa, I know. But I's the man who sing times hard, let us work harder. 2 months later the bank come to take my car. To be a Kaisonian you have to make fast money. Money for vitamins, you have to eat healthy. You have to drive good car, not no jalebi. You can't come in town looking hungry. You have to remember you is a role model, and anywhere you go people will look up to you. That kind of lyric Shorty I them want me to sing, like they want to see me eating from the dustbin. Think it over, think it again, Mr. Shorty. Think it over.
Help! Somebody help me! I'm looking for Jacka. Boy, I try to go around the country now. I don't know what to do again. Looking to buy a donkey to sell coconut in town. Can't afford to buy a pickup to tote me nuts around. So I gone up in the country looking for jackals to buy. But everybody I check, they keep on telling me. They say up here to a donkey, Parliament a plenty. Oh, Pierre do a donkey. Parliament a plenty. If you want to see real donkey. Parliament a plenty. If you want to find real donkey. Parliament a plenty. Donkey for sewing day. Donkey for sewing day. Donkey for sewing day. Donkey for sewing day. Donkey with PhD, doctorate, law degree. Donkey that dance for so. Don't know from head to toe. Looking for a donkey. You want to find real donkey. Fat donkey. Maga donkey. Any kind you can get it. Oh, down south in Rancho and also Lopino, fight of Mondo Nevo and Brasso Seco. They say it have a old man, he bound to have a few. But when I check the old man, he and all same too. He say, oh, Pierre do a donkey. Parliament a plenty. Oh, Pierre do a donkey. Parliament a plenty. If you want to see real donkey. Parliament a plenty. If you want to find real donkey. Parliament a plenty. Donkey for sewing day. Donkey for sewing day. Donkey for sewing day. Donkey for sewing day. Donkey with weave and rats. Even bald head jackass. Donkey that straight and gay. Donkey that bold and grey. Looking for a donkey. You're looking for a donkey. Oh, she. I know shiny donkey. I know what black donkey, grey donkey. What are you telling me about? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wonder if Arena happened. They said that donkey looking like Saddam. And some looking like Madam. Long time had plenty donkey all over the country. You coulda buy 2 or 3, easy. But since it have a shortage of jackass, so they say, just wait until election when they come out to pray. Up here do a donkey, Parliament a plenty. Up here do a donkey, Parliament a plenty. If you're looking for a donkey, Parliament a plenty. If you want to see real donkey, Parliament a plenty. Donkey for sewing day, donkey for sewing day, donkey for sewing day, donkey for sewing day. Donkey in suit and tie, who love the mama guy. Drunk and corrupt donkey, that like to lie plenty. Looking for a donkey. So you want to find real donkey in right road. Oh boy, you have to have national pride. Up in the red house now, they want back up shit. I never go up there before. Boy, ask people looking for a donkey. You up and down the country. I feel like I go check out my partner around here, you know. The old donkey man, he must know where I could get some. Before they looking to send me in prison or something, you know.
Truer words were never spoken. The less you associate with some people, the more your life will improve. Anytime you tolerate mediocrity in others, it increases your mediocrity. An important attribute in successful people is their impatience with negative thinking and negative acting people. As you grow, your associates will change. Some of your friends will not want you to go on. They will want you to stay where they are. Friends that don't help you climb will want you to crawl. Your friends will stretch your vision or choke your dream. Those that don't increase you will eventually decrease you. Consider this. Never receive counsel from unproductive people. Never discuss your problems with someone incapable of contributing to the solution, because those who never succeed themselves are always first to tell you how. Not everyone has a right to speak into your life. You are certain to get the worst of the bargain when you exchange ideas with the wrong person. Don't follow anyone who's not going anywhere. With some people you spend an evening. With others, you invest it. Be careful where you stop to inquire for directions along the road of life. Wise is the person who fortifies his life with the right friendships. If you run with wolves, you will learn how to howl. But if you associate with eagles, you will learn how to soar to great heights. A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. The simple but true fact of life is that you become like those with whom you closely associate, for the good and the bad. Note, be not mistaken. This is applicable to family as well as friends. Yes, do love, appreciate, and be thankful for your family, for they will always be your family, no matter what. Just know that they are human first, and though they are family to you, they may be a friend to someone else and will fit somewhere in the criteria above. In prosperity, our friends know us. In adversity, we know our friends. Never make someone a priority when you are only an option for them. If you are going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop the habit in little matters. Excellence is not an exception. It is a prevailing attitude.
Let me say a special hello to all the WZY 95.9 FM listeners. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's in the village with the dark triplet on WZYE 95.9 FM. And we come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Let me bring in 1/3 of the dark triplets, no other than Diana, Waveney, Benskin, Stormy, The Storm, Greta, the Bajan McDonald boy.
You forget Ben Skin. Anyway.
Ben Skin first. You're missing.
Anyway.
Yeah. How are you going down, Ben Skin?
Pack your bags and go. Pack your bags. I have my fan. I hear things are going to be hot in the village tonight. So I bring my fan.
Diana tell me to play that song, eh? So
pack your bags and go.
Diana doesn't pick these songs. I just play them.
I have a fan. I hear it's going to be hot in the village tonight. So well, I'm a fan to cool things down.
Cool. You have no air condition?
I have air condition, but I still have a fan too.
All right. I ain't going to argue with that. So, of course, you know, coming up, we have Michael Annisette, and we have Kwasi Robinson, the chairman of the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation, and Michael Annisette is the general secretary of NATUC. And Diana, I want to say this off the bat. Anyway,
go ahead. Don't hold your tongue. This WZYE. Don't hold your tongue.
We'll come back.
The boss say you could say what you want on the show. Go ahead.
No. I will come back to it. But let me go into the chat first and get that out of the way, because you know we always have to get that out of the way. And you know, I have to tell you, boy, Vonnie Roberts, Troy Smith, Kylie, Rajvi, Rennie Mohammed, Eugene Julian, Curtis Montrechard. I could go on and on. All you had to start stepping up to the plate, really and truly.
Why? Woman coming first again?
Yeah, every once in a while, Troy Smith go sneaking, or Vonnie Roberts go sneaking, or even Hailey sneaking. What axe? Big. What axe? Right? And he dropped the axe. It's only what now? You know what I mean? Come on, man. it's almost Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday we come here. It's almost the same thing over. Who sing that song, Benjai? I fed up at the same thing over and over.
Mm-hmm.
I fed up at the same thing over and over. Oh God. Anyway, let me make the announcement. Of course, first in the village again was no other than Nadia. Nadia again. Hey, Diana. Nadia getting it down. The second comment is Ansem High Lover. L-U-V. Not L-O-V, L-U-V,
Yeah, let Mrs. LeBon see them love notes. You go get good, Nadia.
And I get a pink rose, a blue heart, and a black heart. Oh God, it's hard for somebody. And all she say, Tommy hi. she said, she ain't get Tommy no rose, no flowers, no petals, nothing. What?
Oh dear.
She even give Gary a yellow flower, a green flower, and a man with something. I know what that one is. A hand with something. Yeah. What, boy? Tommy, don't worry yourself, man. You're inside. You're good. So Nadia come first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Then Takesha coming. Takesha, welcome.
Good night, Chris.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Takesha asking, who want back pay out of a job? This man.
Yo.
Oh God, Takesha. Oh God. Hey, Takesha said tongue was like a carnival yesterday, boy. I will play that video just now. Takesha says, I like how Watson Duke Chori Community Center in Rosehill, Marlene McDonald built it. The PDP got a big turnout on St. Paul Street, Lou Place, Rosehill, and Clifton Towers. All right. Oh, good. I tell you. Yeah. You say the youth's not playing. Hope the ID card in order when time come to vote. Correct is right, Keisha. Because, something might happen when they go for the ID card,
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, something will happen. And then internal election,
the way
application just disappear and thing,
Yeah, the way Trinidad, yeah. Can get your ID card as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. Sickening and disgusting. You're born there and you can't get your ID card. I don't know what kind of madness is that. I have a beef with them,
to Marshall Tommy Nisbet, the Commissioner of Newark. Welcome, Tommy.
Good evening, everybody in the village. It's always a pleasure to be in the village. I don't know if I can stay long tonight, but I'll do my best.
Don't worry, man. Your presence is we love your presence so at all times. If you could spend a minute with me, that is a good minute.
Tommy, you normally can't stay long. You have to do quick. You have to be quick all the time. Anyway, Anselm, go ahead now. Go ahead now.
You see?
What did I say? What I say?
Hey, Tommy, tell she you drink some stay long,
What I say?
Tommy, tell she you drink some stay long. Tell she.
You must say certain things to a poet. My head is translated differently.
No, well, Tommy telling you drink stay long. Not stay short, stay long.
Wait. Hey, watch it. I
got a comment because I'm a long distance runner, so I was a long distance runner, so
that's all you could do long. Anyway, Nadia sent me a sleepy face, a red heart dripping, a red heart, and a green heart. Thank you, Nadia.
Who's that?
I don't feel left out now. Nadia.
Yeah. Takesha said I was get upset because his own people vandalizing the center after the protest rate. Don't blame nobody in government for that kind of move. Correct is right, Takesha. Full 100. Full 100. Or they can be mashing it up and then blaming the government.
Nope.
She said Trinidad could look plenty better than that. Who in power again? Sometimes I just forget because it seems like this country have no leader. Well, I mean, the country have Well, I call them, and all you know, I into, it's different things that I factual things that I come up with. Dr. Rowley, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, the blackest man in Trinidad and Tobago, his words, not mine, has become the first despotic leader in Trinidad and Tobago. I want you guys to Google the meaning of despotic. Right?
Despot.
And, yeah, it's a despot, and you add tick next tick, despotic. He has been that. Oh God, Tekisha says she bell come off, she waist and it around she neck. Oh God. Oh God, Tekisha. Oh, what Tekisha no. No. Oh God. Tekisha said, please PM, I want my back pay, but I don't want to lose my job. Tekisha on a roll tonight, boy. Tekisha says she fed up see mud water through the pipe whenever water comes. Mr. Gonzalez, please, paying for water, not slush. Oh, Tekisha vexed tonight, oh God. Tekisha. Tekisha gone on the president now,
No, God.
Besides the Prime Minister Gonzalez, the president now. Tekisha on a road tonight, but the president come back from St. Lucia. That woman is a waste of blasted time. Too money. Oh God.
Ooh, somebody vexed, boy.
Tekisha say all of them need to come down from there. Oh God, Tekisha. Oh God, she gone again. Oh God. I wonder. Tekisha, she say you wonder if he has grown Rowley head, asking for. Oh God.
Oh Lord.
God, boy. Tekisha, I know, boy.
Tekisha had enough, she's had it up to there.
Yeah.
You see the efficacy they made of him? The caricature they had it. Dragging through tongue. I said, Lord, Father.
Trinidad and Tobago. Rennie Mohammed.
The Boboli.
Good evening. So Tekisha, yeah, we gotta talk about that. I will see. We'll have to talk about it. Rennie Mohammed. Oh God, like people pelting darts tonight, boy. Rennie Mohammed said, if only Kanani farmers had the belly to march against Kamala for their back pay. Oh God. Lord have his mercy tonight. Call kind of darts, boy. Lana, welcome. Welcome. Lana said, bless, good evening, good afternoon, and Sam, Tommy, Gary, and Diana.
Good evening, Lana.
Yeah.
And Tekisha.
Oh, yeah. Tekisha, I mean, Lana, since you said so earlier, let me put that one up.
Go ahead. Yeah? Drop it.
Read it on the you see?
Trap iron make a pass.
Yeah.
Import a spin and go with the gate.
Watch now. You wouldn't believe this. Somebody stole a gate in Port of Spain, and they asking police to intervene. Imagine that. The thief a gate, and they want police go and find the gate thiefer. A gate is missing from the entrance to Lord Harris Square on Pembroke Street, Port of Spain.
How did this thief a gate on?
I mean, it's thief a gate. Take it off the hinge and go with it.
Stormy said hi to Nadia. He's sleeping.
Look.
Run the whole day.
I don't understand this thing. A man steal a gate,
A whole gate.
I don't need that. Let me get this other one here. What is this other one? Hold on, what do I do with that one? I think I gotta go in here for this one. Look at this other one, right?
It says someone, you don't know if it's a woman. It's someone. What's that now?
No. Look at this one here.
Mm-hmm.
Watch this one here.
Taken by this man in Diego Martin this morning. PCC 8809 white Toyota Corolla.
I didn't get this, It's like in Trinidad.
What happened? Only slow. Explain to me what happened.
No, I didn't get it either. I was trying to figure out.
Me neither.
Gruff the macaw has been taken by this man in Diego Martin this morning. White Toyota. I don't know
Gruff
what
the Macaw has been taken by this man in Diego Martin this morning. PCC 8809 white Toyota Corolla.
Will you explain that to us in the chat, please, because we are from foreign. And
what I seem to get is that the Macaw was in Toyota and the man stole the Toyota with the Macaw. Is that what they're saying?
No. He stole something and then he went in his car. I don't know.
Gruff the Macaw has been taken by this man in Diego Martin this morning.
Yeah, that's
PCC 8809 white Toyota Corolla.
Yeah, somebody thieved the Macaw. I get it. I get it. The Macaw was in the car, and somebody stole the car, and he with the Gruff Macaw in it.
Oh, that's what it is?
Mm.
Oh, okay.
That's what I understand it to be too.
All right. I was kind of behind. I couldn't understand that one. So when I see the gate get stolen, and then Gruff the Macaw, he just, I ain't get. So that's what we do. We keep it real in the village. I don't understand it.
So in Trinidad parlance, he thieved the Macaw.
So the Macaw was in the car.
Yeah, the Macaw, which we just call in parlance Macaw.
A Macaw.
Wait. A Macaw was in the car?
A macaw, like a parrot then.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, a macaw was, they call it Gruff the Macaw, yeah.
But what you pick up and run across the road with?
I don't know. You have to look at you'll have to examine the video a little closer.
But didn't he steal the whole car?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm trying to figure it out. All you help us now, man. Fish stick, welcome. I don't know. I really don't know. What?
Trinidad is not a real place.
Takesha, what do you call a tree online?
It is a real place.
I don't know.
Well, what do you call a tree online?
Yeah. So, oh God, boy, Takesha, all your Takesha, I don't know, boy. Takesha on a roll tonight. Fish, they giving bread and water, nothing to put in the bread, and nothing to make juice. We really in jail under this government, and if you want your money, consider yourself jobless. Oh God. All right.
Oh God.
Fish sticks, you call it log in. Takesha on a roll tonight.
Log in. Oh, Takesha, take it easy. Take it easy.
Takesha, don't raise your pressure. Just tell me that. Don't raise your pressure.
Take a pill.
Takesha said, well, at least PDP giving bread and water. You didn't know. Fish stick didn't know the PDP was giving that. All right. Fish stick said these unions need to carry their march for a couple of weeks. One day protest doesn't work for PNM and get foreign attention.
Yep. That's what I said too. Yep. One day for the mean business. And they need to shut it down too. Yep. Whole place. Shut it down.
He says the unions need to do it like Pakistan until
don't
the PM can't take it anymore.
Don't go nowhere. Shut it down. Don't go nowhere. You're jobless. If they could find people to do all them work.
Oh, good. Takesha, oh God, boy. Some Takesha, boy. Well, God, Takesha come back with a vengeance, boy. I wonder if Rowley, Imbut, Stuart Little, Farris and Hines help cut Jesus' slippers.
Woo!
I only hope the union and give up the protest. Well, we go ask Michael Annisette. Annisette. Fish sticks said they probably thieved the nail on the cross also. Oh God, Takesha, what you had for breakfast, dinner tonight?
What's it?
I wonder if someone can help Gary Griffith form his party, but still talking about police work instead. He's starting to campaign about what his party stands for. Takesha, lucky Gary wasn't here, you know. Gary Mavia, Gary boy now, you know. Gary ain't sure who he's supporting yet. If he's supporting the NTA or if he's supporting the UNC. I don't think he's sure yet. But he gonna let me know when he comes.
I supporting the poor man and woman on the ground. That's who I will.
What? Fish stick say you're not supporting Gigi anymore? Fish stick,
Oh, sure.
ooh, man, drop him just so you know. What? Sharon Bernard, welcome. Where Sharon from again? So?
I think so. What Ayana Rasta boy say all in loss? What do you mean all in loss?
What do you mean all in loss?
Something I saw. All isn't
Talking about
lost.
85 reports and no real action, yeah?
Mm.
You know, it's funny, yeah, boy. Them, politicians that really take people for fools and truth, you know. I tell you,
Yep.
they just really take people for fools and truth, you know. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put up the Jones report. I wanted to go with this Justice Jones. We need to try to get her on the program, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I want to ask the question: did anyone from who didn't read the SABGA report read the SABGA report? And how come we don't hear the Prime Minister talking anything about the Justice Jones report? All you have to read that report, man. That report, I mean, it maybe that one report is worse than the SABGA report. I don't know. But what have they done about this? What have they done about that report? What have they done?
Okay, what did they do with the report when all the lights went out in Chicago, in Port of Spain?
What did they do with it?
Yeah, what did they do with that report?
I don't
But
know.
we saw a brown envelope being handed over. What did they do?
So the headline says 85 reports and no real action yet.
Right.
But now you're in the government. I don't want to hear. And earlier, by the way, there's a new social media platform, right? Tommy and Diana, do you all know that?
Enlighten me.
Okay, there's a new social media platform that only the PNM and the UNC on it. It's
Really?
called Piarco. Right? and while the PDP is on TikTok.
Oh,
right? Because every time it's PNM, UNC, PNM, UNC, PNM, UNC, UNC, PNM, UNC, PNM, UNC, PNM, while the PDP is on TikTok. I mean, it just gets like, have you ever seen a video? Well, I think Naked makes videos on TikTok. I think I've seen a few videos from him on TikTok. I think Miss Prim and Proper makes a few videos on TikTok.
Oh boy.
Right? Have you all ever seen a video from Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bissessor or Dr. Rowley on TikTok?
Nope.
Tommy, have you ever seen it?
Negative.
Now, anyone in the chat, have you all ever seen a TikTok video from Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bissessor or Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley? I'm just asking because almost on a weekly basis, you see a TikTok video from Watson Duke, right? And if you are public relations in either the UNC or the PNM, you will, let me tell you all something, right? Let me remove this here. Some time ago, when I was in the good graces of the PNM, I told Dr. Rowley, I said, Dr. Rowley, you need to start to tweet. Because Twitter was big them time. Twitter was the crave.
Donald Trump know how to tweet.
Right. Donald Trump used to tweet 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. Right? And I told him, you need to tweet. But he ignored me, yes?
Hey, you gotta be a bird to tweet.
You have your bird to tweet?
Yeah.
Right? And now we have TikTok. Right? And TikTok is the craze where the young people are them TikToking. The young people there. So if you want to reach the young people, Facebook is fine, right? For many geriatrics, so to speak.
Hey,
right?
Watch yourself.
Facebook
Put yourself inside there.
Facebook is for like you, Diana, and Tommy. And
watch yourself. Watch yourself.
I have TikTok.
I have
IG.
TikTok. I have TikTok, Twitter, Instagram,
Snapchat.
Facebook. I don't like Snapchat.
Snapchat. I have all of them. All of them.
I
All of them.
don't like
You
Snapchat.
have Marco book too?
That too. Any book come out, I in there. I in there. You see like our embassy, how much the time we have in parliament? I in there. I in there. Yeah.
Why you telling him where to go to strategize? The youth don't want to hear from me. It's too late. They don't want to hear from me.
What do you mean?
They don't want to hear from me.
No, but it's not that. Hey, let me say, Dana, thanks for saying hello to Chris Watson, right?
We do.
Albert Mon. Oh God, the people. I'm seeing. I just didn't see something here. Albert Montano, good evening. Highly good evening. Hold on. Daryl Supersad, good evening.
Hey, Daryl, where my fig is? Where my fig, boy? I'm hungry.
Nana, I tell you, it's not that fella.
Oh, sorry, Daryl. Sorry.
Every time that fella come in, I feel, Daryl, I feel something, a little something, you know.
Oh.
I'm feeling so. Every time the poor fella come in, he always asking for fig from him. Daryl, you gotta get some fig, partner. I'm telling you. Get figure. Albert Montano.
Oh.
Good evening. Get some figure. Highly good evening.
Oh, he the one with the leather belt and the thing. Okay.
No, that Rennie.
Oh God, I see. I'm mixing up everybody for true, boy.
That Rennie.
Diana, you gotta get your guys straight. You got to get the men
you gotta get them straight, man. You gotta straighten it out.
Hey, let me go and drink some Prevagen.
Yeah. Albert Montano say.
But you just call me a senior citizen, so I'm entitled to forget. I over 60. I entitled to forget things.
Who call you a senior citizen?
You just tell me
No,
how old. Yeah, so like people that just use these platforms. I over 60. I am entitled to forget things at times.
You stay that way by yourself over there. Albert Montano say, if you're associated with donkey, you learn how to break. Hey, but look, I see Chris say goodnight to Joan, but I see Joan, my Lavante UNC friend.
She was up there earlier, I think.
Or she was up there earlier. Hey, Joan, welcome.
The names, everything.
So Albert Montano already wanted us to ask Michael Annisette, what happened if the government don't respond to your demand? Okay. We have it there. Waiting.
Yeah, shut it down. Shut it down.
Yeah.
Shut it down. That's what I said.
Don't let Rowley and the PNM start gentrification and property tax will be higher. Okay.
See, Nadia agrees with me. I'm allowed to forget things.
Okay. Look.
Or mix Nadia, up things.
Nadia saying, Diana Benskin, I sent you earlier with Ansem and them. I never left you out, Diana.
Diana, if you mix up your men, you could get in serious trouble, though.
Correct is right.
No.
Yes.
How I can get in trouble?
You're mixing up your man and men?
All of them all of them begin with R. So what do you expect from me?
Albert, I don't think. Oh, you know what? Are we supposed to bring one of Albert family in the village too, you know? But we will discuss that another time. Albert said the last contract ended in 2013. Why did the PSS stay 9 years star? I don't think they stayed 9 years, you know, Albert. I think there was, the pandemic come and there was negotiating. You know?
Hey, stop making excuse for them now.
What's that?
Who you making excuse for? I mean, they mess up. The government mess up. Making excuse for them all the time. They mess up big time. Pandemic and blah blah blah. They wasn't working. It wasn't doing nothing before.
I'm not making any excuses.
The pandemic just opened up the can of worms that was festering there.
Oh God!
Sure.
Look, Albert still vexed about 1986. Albert went in a baggy from 1986 and take out this one. Yes, he said Michael Anna said there was no money in 1986, and the PSA did give now government any chance, or did not
Hold
give.
on.
Oh God. Albert went in a bag he have there since 1986, you know. And you have to
How long?
unzip it and take out the pin, you have it pin up with, you know.
How long that is?
I actually understand because there was a lack of vision when Robinson offered to give them shares. You know, they couldn't see. If they had done that, you would have had many more millionaires in Trinidad today.
So here's Hailey, my PEP friend. Kamala insists on being the leader of UNC, but doesn't intend to win election. Why she's a mole for the PNM hour?
Oh.
Okay, I just read in the comments.
Ooh, woo, that one hit deep. But Gary, boy, Gary ain't here to defend me.
Nobody here
leader.
to defend, boy. Nobody.
Ooh.
Nobody. Yeah. You're going below the belt there, boy, Hailey, boy.
Ooh.
Gary in the same position like Anselm, you know, the same way the PNM treating Anselm is that's how the USC treating Gary.
I wonder, boy. I know. Why Rowley don't name Gruff? Let someone steal him. Okay, this.
Why Rowley didn't name Gruff? Let someone steal him. Oh, they want the prime minister to get stolen now.
Yeah, but Albert, like Albert don't like the unions. Albert, you don't like the unions. I could tell already. He said,
Listen,
McLeod. Go ahead.
I pick all this stop bullying my prime minister, please. All this stop bullying him. I'm fed up all it, but I disagree with the policy. All this stop bullying my prime minister. Good.
Albert, you don't like the unions, Albert. You don't like the unions. I could see that already. Albert says Errol McLeod brought up most of the labor contracts up to date, but the union still was not happy. You see, nah. Hey, Albert, your biasness showing.
Ooh.
No, but Albert knows what he's talking about, you know, because let me tell you, on account of the union, the people are worse off when they should be better off.
You really think the people are worse off under the union?
They would have been a lot better off if the unions were more sensible, had more sensible leadership.
So you think if the union wasn't there? And I want to say something. We have to stop calling them workers in Trinidad servants.
Yep.
We have to move into call them public personnel,
public workers,
workforce, or public workers. Stop calling them servants.
Yep.
We in 2022. We need to get rid of that name in truth.
Now you understand why I challenge the way you call them the watchwords. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, public servants. You know, we need to get that. We need to get it, right? And I want to say something that people are going to get upset with, but we have to be critical thinkers, right? Now, folks, we have to understand that unless a catastrophic thing happens in Trinidad and Tobago, for the next 3 years, Dr. Rowley is going to be the prime minister, right? And as far as I am concerned, this is me now, this is my opinion now, this is how I'm looking at it, right? He's going to be prime minister for the next 3 years. And don't care what we do, he ain't calling no early election. Diana, you think Dr. Rowley will call an early election?
No, not under the not in the backdrop of all the things that are going on. Nope.
Tommy, you think Dr. Rowley will call an early election?
Nope.
I don't anticipate that at all.
Okay, so to me, I'm talking from the PNM perspective, and we could discuss long term, and the UNC will have a perspective. UNC perspective is that they want Dr. Rowley going now, right? And you guys could correct me if I'm wrong. The UNC perspective is that Dr. Rowley should go now, go. Now, I am not a supporter of Dr. Rowley and his policies. Okay, let me put that on the thing. But to me, the PNM people need to start thinking about a new leader for 2025. They need to start to think now about a new leader for the PNM for 2025.
But you know, if the how the PNM thinks, their ideas, if it ain't break, don't fix it.
What If it don't break?
If it ain't broken.
Oh, it broken, Tommy. It didn't break, it didn't broke, just broken, it mash up.
Yep.
The thing like chili baby now.
The supporters think it's fine. You listen to their opinions, you realize that they're good with Rowley.
Tommy, you see, publicly, Tommy, there are certain people publicly who will, you hear them talk, you will swear for the man, publicly. But privately, they would like to see him gone. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. In Trinidad, there's two personas. There's a public persona and then there's a private persona. Privately, many people say what they really feel, but publicly, they want to portray a certain type of image. They put that image on it. That's why the party is the way it is today. That's why. Because which person within the PLM have said anything about any atrocious madness that the PLM have done? Which one?
None.
But don't feel bad enough. The UNC can't do it either, you know, because all here Ramona Randall says nobody within the opposition now is going to oppose Mrs. Kamala Prasad Besessa. Right? Nobody. None. 0-0. And it's the same thing with the PNM. Nobody within the current PNM cabinet is going to oppose Dr. Rowley.
With the Cosa Nostra?
Well, the Cosa Nostra, you know, we keep our secret inside. It's a secret. Like they kicked me out of the Cosa Nostra long time. Right? Because, you know, I decide not to keep these secrets anymore. So I get kicked out. But that's all right. But think about it. We have to think about it. Right? So, are both parties any different?
Nope.
Now, let me ask a question now. Did the UNC march yesterday?
That's a million dollar question you ask.
So, guys,
I saw people who are aligned with the party marching.
You mean individuals?
Yeah. Individuals, yeah.
No, I want
from their platform now, from what they say.
I want MPs, people who part of the management of the UNC.
Nope.
Right? Now, don't feel bad. You can ask the same question about the PDP as well. Did anybody from the PDP march? Did anybody from the PEP march? You see, I mean, and this is what's supposed to be about country, right? So if it was about country, you could have gone out there and march.
Yep.
So that's the question. Who went out there and marched? And I'm sure there were people who were part of the union that are PNM, and they say enough is enough, right? When you look at the CPO salary, you look at the prime minister salary. I mean, have a heart now, man. Have a heart now, right? And then you're telling the people, well, in order to get them a pay raise, it will cost about $1.3 to $1.4 billion, right? You're already thrown out. You know, there's a new thing. It's not PNM rhetoric, it's PNM rhetorics. You come up with these new PNM rhetorics in order to try to trick the people into thinking, well, we have no money every time something happens. You have no money.
Yep.
Watch, a barrel of oil could go to $200, right? And this current government here will find a way that the people don't enjoy a penny from that. You know, it's interesting, right? And I didn't say this, but now I can say it. My wife and my daughter just came back from Dubai, right? And they were telling me about the type of discipline it have in Dubai. And the government takes care of its citizens. And if you are not a citizen of Dubai, right? Not a citizen, you just can't come in just so and marry somebody or take or buy things and things. There's a certain order. You can't go outside and spit on the ground You can't go outside and walk with an open alcohol. I think they say there's no alcohol. No alcohol. There's a certain type of order, right? And I think we passed that stage when we got that type of order in Trinidad and Tobago, you know.
Nope.
I mean, I don't know
that's a charity to me, Dubai seems to be rooted, cemented in religion too, you know.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with
that. When you're religious, it's more structure in place in societies.
That is the word, Diana. There's a lot of structure in place. Structure, which is important. But you see, we have so much corruption in Trinidad, right? And most of the times, it's the politicians who are corrupted, plain talk, bad manners. Right? And we allow the politicians and them to be corrupted.
What is the meaning of the watchword discipline?
What's the meaning of that watchword discipline?
Yeah, that watchword that said discipline, I think. What's the meaning
discipline,
of it?
Production and tolerance. And what it means in Trinidad?
Yeah, discipline has any meaning at all?
Yeah, there's meaning. You're very disciplined when carnival comes.
Yeah.
Right? You are very disciplined when carnival comes.
And what's the discipline? The wine low?
But not even wine low. You want to scrape the floor too. You want to clean the floor. You understand? But there's not only that. You are disciplined in that you accept certain things. Oh God, that is just the way it is, man.
It could be a noun or a verb, but however it is, you know, it means, you know, code of behavior. If you break the code, you know, you're using punishment to correct the behavior.
And Diana, so think about this, right? Joshua broke the law, right? And the consequences for him for breaking that law was to handcuff him, physically handcuff him, give him 7 charges, and give him about $70,000 or $75,000 bail, right? Now, another little black boy with a gun will get the same type of treatment. Let me go to David Welch. Oh, remember David Welch? Remember that? Want to see the treatment David Welch get?
Yep.
Right? So, what is the difference between David Welch and Joshua trying to make an honest living? I'm thieving, I'm stealing, right? And then Pastor Google boy. Let me go solo for this, boy. Pastor Google boy. Let me go solo for this. Pastor Google, you are a disappointment as a pastor. You really are a disappointment. You have the word pastor in front of your name. You have to be Christ-like pastor. That's why I tell you, you are no longer a pastor. You have to drop the OR. You are just a pass. You are very disingenuous as a pastor. It is disappointing that you call yourself a pastor and you on the radio defending a party as opposed to defending your Jesus. Come on, Pastor Google, defend your Jesus. Defend the country. You're defending party all the time, and your petticoat showing, man. Your petticoat showing. Tuesday on your program, right? You bring a superintendent, whatever it is, from the police department and say, the fella break the law, and the superintendent, all you hear from the superintendent, Pastor Google, a little black boy trying to make an honest living, boy. I don't care if he had 10 tickets. Chris was selling bread maybe 5 feet away from him. Chris selling bread all across the country. Diana and Tommy, all ever you have kids when they get locked up?
Nope.
No,
all of them are badges?
Nope.
All ever you have kids when they get locked up?
Nope.
And also, I said the other race selling on the side of the road too. I don't see Indian police officers interfering with them trying to make a living. Who vex, plain talk, bad manners, top of the hour hands.
It's crazy, man, and it's unacceptable that we have these people on the radio and all they are doing is defending the indefensible. Indefensible, defending
But if he pick up a gun and go do whatever, they plaster him all over the place. All over the place. All over the place.
Who pays the piper names the tune, you know?
Mm-hmm. Top of the answer.
Yeah, and listen to this, what Joshua had to do was to go and break the law in a nice way in order to get something. He had to go and break the law in a nice way, right? In an illegally nice way, in order for him to get something.
Well, one good thing we could say out of every evil cometh good.
That's right. Top of the hour.
So folks, it's in the village with the dark triplets on WZY 95.9 FM. We come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's 7 to 10 p.m. Let's go for a quick station identification.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
I think there are two ways in which people are controlled. First of all, frighten people, and secondly, demoralize them. An educated, healthy, and confident nation is harder to govern. And I think there's an element in the thinking of some people. We don't want people to be educated, healthy, and confident because they would get out of control. The top 1% of the world's population own 80% of the world's wealth. It's incredible that people put up with it, but they're poor, they're demoralized, they're frightened, and therefore they think perhaps the safest thing to do is take orders and hope for the best.
Hold on, 1 minute.
Can't take that. When they want to stop all this humiliation, I can't take that. Wake up in the morning, more frustration, I can't take that. No, ain't taking that soon. Ain't taking that. Ain't taking that soon. Ain't taking that.
We are back with you. It's in the village to the dark triplets on WZY 95.9 FM. Go ahead, Diana. Okay, we're going to get right back to Diana. So, folks, we're supposed to have our first guest coming up at 8 p.m. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Let me see this. Let me see if he KWSI. Let me call him and see. I'll call him on there. I'll call him. Yeah, folks. Let me see here. Let me see something. Okay, so I send them a message. Okay, he said he is. Okay, waiting. Okay, so Diana, you wanted to say something? Okay, I think Diana got frozen. So we get back to Diana. Elmer Club ordered most of the union contract after it, but the union still was not happy. Errol McLeod, okay, all right. So how you, Hailey says, how you allow yourself to get your car stolen? Make that make sense now. Is Trinidad a hellhole? I don't know. Hailey say, it's pep in your step all the way. Hailey, what?
That was Mr. Annisette. He was having connectivity issues.
All
so
right.
I'm trying to guide him how to get on.
Okay,
Download
okay.
Chrome and all that good stuff. But I was gonna say, right? William Botha said, you know who William Botha is, huh?
Of course,
was.
yeah.
South Africa.
Right. He said that black people cannot rule themselves because they don't have the brain and the mental capacity to govern a society. Give them guns, they will kill each other. Give them power, they will loot the treasury. Give them independence and democracy, they will use it to promote political tribalism, ethnicity, and bigotry. Has both have been proven wrong in Trinidad and Tobago.
Wow, something to think about.
Yep, something to think about.
Absolutely.
Takesha says, answer my 8 fried plantain and rose baked with guava juice. Okay, so don't eat that too often, please.
But that tastes good. Guava juice. I love a guava.
No, it's
pink
not.
Guava or yellow guava.
It's not that they don't taste good, but it seemed to have an effect on Takesha.
Okay.
I hope it's positive.
Takesha, eat it every day. I like you come up firing shots. Eat it every day.
So I don't understand this Macau story. Macau was stolen Diego Martin. You from down there, check him. Oh God, all ain't easy.
Where's your chairman, Ansem?
I just tell him a text, he say he coming. Ansem, there's a thing called ambush marketing. They don't know how to use it. Okay. All right.
But they know how to ambush the populace with all kind of property tax and all kind of 2%, 0%, 1%, nothing though.
Heidi says, what does that have to do with governing a country, Ansem? What Heidi are you talking about? Kind of bring me a little up to date. Heidi says Trinidad is taking this property thing lightly, and not realizes PNM running that. Nothing good ever happens with anything PNM do. Watch and see when they start falsifying documents to thief. Oh God. Anyway. Now property tax is a good thing.
But let it be run by a different entity, not in the hands of them politicians.
It shouldn't be. The money shouldn't go to the central government.
Nope.
The money shouldn't go to the central government.
Regional cooperation, let them take care of their, according to what you call them, the burgesses within where they pay the property tax.
Tropic game is not near. Welcome, Tropics. Joan, my UNC Lavantil, Jadubia, welcome. Okay. Fishstick says, Wall Street, answer this question. What it is that Kamala did so bad that the citizen doesn't like her? Because job opportunities were formed and our resources were never sold out.
You'll have to ask the populace that fish. You can't answer that.
Ask the populace that I personally alone cannot answer that. I would like to answer it. Or June said the march had some people wearing UNC jerseys. Okay.
I think I saw some prison personnel in their uniforms, or was that prison personnel uniform, or was that security uniform? I mixed them up.
I'm sure now. But let's
khaki. They were in khaki.
So let's bring in our first guest, the chairman of the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation. Let me say welcome to you, Mr. Kwasi Robinson. How are you doing today, sir?
Hi, good evening, man. Good evening to all the listeners. Thank you very much for having me and just the opportunity to be here and to speak to you and your co-hosts and the listeners.
Well, let me just tell you, this is Indie Village with the Dark Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We have with us, D is Diana. Diana is conservative with the Storm. I, the A is Ansem or Wall Street. G is Gary, he's the Phantom. He's not here at this minute. And we have another person, a commissioner here in Newark, Marshall E. Tommy Nesbitt. Okay. So, Mr. Robinson, welcome to Indie Village. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. I actually just came from the Kwame Tourist Center with Brother David Mohammed. He had a function this evening where he's launching a youth program for young males in the East Port of Spain area. And so I went to that launch. It was excellent. And now just relaxing. I'm good.
I just want to say to you, Kwame is your name. I born in Tunapuna. Kwasi. I born in Tunapuna, but I's a Bajan here. I born in Paje. I grew up in St. Augustine.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Up on Lakpat Tray. So, you know, that's my stomping. Hey, watch yourself. Don't listen to me.
Let me just say, don't let she tie it on, man. She's a Bajan.
Good. I's a Bajan born in Trinidad.
National unity and then Caribbean unity. So
figure that one out, huh?
Yeah, but she does disown Trinidad every once in a while, you know.
When they're doing stupidness, yeah, now why not?
She does.
Yeah.
Trinidad wouldn't disown her.
There we go. They
wouldn't disown me, but they won't give me back my ID card. They're not giving me back my ID card, so they disown me.
Nah, we disown you, man. We love you. We love you, Diana Benskin. You know.
Yeah, I used to have a parlor there by, you know where Eros Cinema used to be?
Yes.
At the top of McCoy Road back in the day. Yeah. I worked at Metal Box. I worked at Kirpalani. I pay my taxes in Trinidad and Tobago. And they're frightened that I come and claim old people tax now. That's why they want to give me back my ID card. But that's okay. They could get a Venezuelan.
So, Kwasi, I see recently, right, there was this new Surrey Village Community Center in Lopino. Is that your area as well?
Yes, so the Tunapuna Corporation is the most densely populated and the fourth largest landmass in the country. So we have around 250,000 burgesses and we have 500 square kilometers. And just for some context about what the other corporations are, the average corporation is 80,000 people and our Rima Ball Corporation is 12 square kilometers. We have 500. So Surrey Village is also us. That development there, I was reminding Marvin when we were speaking, when we were in opposition in 2012, 2013, I remember driving behind Dr. Rowley's vehicle. We were going up to a wake in Lupino. And when we were going up there, the vehicle slowed down. People were shouting, some people were cheering, some people were jeering. And I remember turning on my window because somebody was driving me, so I was next to them. I'm turning on the window and somebody said, the Warwick Community Center, there is not Surrey Village, there is Surrey Village. Sorry, we don't have a good community center. When we went to the wake, the discussion came out about it, so I was happy that the government was able to deliver that now because that was in, I think, 2012, 2013. So the community center there, it's going to be one of the nicer community centers. I think delivery is in a couple months, and it's going to be lovely.
Kwasi, why is the perception that across the country that the PNM is not doing as much as they could for people in the country? Why is that perception?
Well, I could say I want to speak specifically about the perception as faced with me as the chairman of the Tunapuna Corporation.
Okay, fine.
In terms of how people, because I'm a PNM representative in Tunapuna.
Right.
For me, it is also the needs of persons because of various factors, the pandemic and various international pressures about prices have increased. So when you have people needs increasing, then there's always pressure on leadership. You could imagine being on a ship and people don't have fresh water to drink. And it's a figurative and also literal sense. So there are things that need to be wrestled and fixed in the country, and thus there would be pressure on leadership. But time is something so when I was 12 years old, my father telling me, go and pick up my school book and get involved in business was the worst thing he could ever tell me. And I was upset when my father told me to go and study. But looking back on that time now, it was some of the most important things that he told me to get involved in reading and like literature. And also, my father also telling me go in the pan yard when I didn't even want to play pan. It was also one of the most important things in my career. Because now I'm able to connect with both people who are academic and also people who believe in culture. So when you are in something, it is very difficult to see where it's taking you, what is happening now. So I think it's a mixture of the pressures and also people who are in the situation really don't want to hear anything. Somebody's in a situation of poverty or somebody's in a situation of neglect or abuse don't want to hear that we fix any problem. They want the problem fixed because that's what they're facing every day.
How long have you been the chairman of the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation?
This has been the longest 30 months of my life.
Why you say that?
Because I just tell you for perspective, the average chairman is responsible for a region that is around between 80 and 100,000 burgesses. I have 250,000 people. And additionally, I am also very active in the community. So with that there comes additional pressures because you know more people and you have more people to deal with. So if I have $1 and the next chairman have $1, his decision is significantly easier than mine, which is why I am so happy that we have the local government reform that is coming, which will allow me to better serve the burgesses if I remain there after the end of my term, or if it is enacted while I'm the chairman.
Now,
Mr. Robinson,
go
as
ahead.
you were talking about dollars, is your budget reflected? Does it reflect the amount of people that you have to deal with, or is it a flat amount for each corporation?
Well, the developmental budgets are kind of the same in terms of DP. So I'll have to answer the question in two parts, which would be recurrent expenditure, just salaries and those goods and services. So we get additional for those things, but our DP budget could always be better. However, we have a new line minister, the Honorable Faris Alwari, who I must say he has brought a new life into the ministry, and we are fixing those things going forward. So, for example, in the mid-year review document that I saw, I probably on average got about 5 times the other corporations got in the supplemental. So, in the mid-year review, and they give you a little more money. So I got a little bit more, which is how it should be, because of course it's impossible to have life it's almost impossible to have life in Trinidad and Tobago and not pass through my region. So there will be some people who would exist and never go to San Grande Corporation ever in their life. But for me, I have Mount Hope, I have UE, I have the airport, I have SBCS, I have SAMS, I have all USL Health Facilities, St. Augustine Private, Medical Associates, so all the hospitals, there's the Carney, cremation sites, so all religions, there's Mount St. Benedict. So it's very unlikely that you would live your life as a Trinidadian and not come in my region versus somebody who might never meet a point 14.
All right, I born there. Yeah, hear that, Anselm? Important Burgess to be born in. Where you born? True macaque. Anyway.
I'm from Chumaka.
Anyways, and I is a Bajan, eh? Okay, that is how powerful I am. Anyway, Mr. Kwasi, how are you doing? You good?
Yeah, very good, very good.
Yeah. Well, you know me, I was one of the vociferous ones against some policies of the PNM that had people suffering out of the country and in the country. Now I ain't attacking you. I find you a nice, sensible fellow. What you doing hanging out with the PNM? Why you don't go and try another party? But anyway, I was vociferous against some of them policies, and I still am, because you still have people not making it. You see the guy from Petrotrin say they're having difficulty in making ends meet. People want their back pay. People working at these archaic salaries. What do you say? How are you? And now I'm going to ask you a question. The local elections are approaching. Is this a trinket? You're going to be waving trinkets in the Burgesses and the voters' face because you want to hold on to your title, or you guys genuinely, really? I mean, I like what you did for young Joshua. I like what you did, the Chow King guy. But
yes.
what what are you guys genuinely going to fix and repair the country? How do you? I've never voted in Trinidad. I left young. So if say I want to vote, how do you convince me, why seeing now under Dr. Rowley, that I'm to go and, hey, give Kwasi a chance again?
So there are two separate parts I'll answer. I'll try to answer them in two separate parts. Firstly, I signed up to be chairman and was asked to be chairman under Dr. Rowley's leadership. So the fact that some people might think that I'm sensible also speaks to that's his decision. So I want to support my Prime Minister in terms of that aspect. Additionally, I try to serve my term in a way that I feel that I don't have to wave any trinkets. So, and again, this is just how we have served, and from even our policy to have this small vending area and all these policies. Yes, it is a difficult period. It's a difficult period worldwide, but I think that in terms of our local election, there are things that these corporations are doing, and I'm not only talking about now corporations doing that, are P&M corporations, because all corporations face the same reality. I'm talking about in local governments. So there are things that we've been doing to improve the lives of the Burgesses. Of course, a lot more can be done. But to say that I will go out and now pull a carrot and a stick to Burgesses to get re-elected, that is not the type of politics that I engage in. And I think for a lot of the persons who are here now in local government, that's not the type of politics that we want to engage in, because in order for the country to continue to move forward and move forward even further, there needs to be sensible, sober conversation about the problems that we have, and not um, only concerned with the partisan political side of it now. But we have real issues that affect everyone, and we need to understand what are we going to do as a people to deal with these issues, because whether you are PNM or UNC, these issues remain. There's issues of school violence, there's issues of crime. Those issues transcend party lines, because school violence is not even though sometimes they try to paint it as not a UNC area thing or PNM, school violence is rampant throughout the school system. So those are things that we need to meet midway and work them out. And one of the things that I want once I continue to remain in politics, one of the things that I want to be defined by is bipartisan approach to solving our problems, because we are the only ones who could solve our problem. And I'm talking about we collectively as a country. If we look to solve our problems in a partisan way, we will not be able to get the solutions as fast as we could get it. So while people may not like PNM's policy or the Prime Minister or particular minister or particular chairman, in order for us to move forward, we cannot wait. For example, if there's something wrong in Tunapuna, for somebody to wait until the vote out Kwasi is not a sensible way to move. What we need to do now is Kwasi is there now. How can we meet and have this discussion about what is better for our region to move forward? And I'll give one example about your community, which is St. Augustine and Paget. So that councillor for the area, who's a UNC councillor, which is Jalen Rupnarine, got double the allocation that any other councillor got, including PNM, for road repairs in the last fiscal year, simply because I felt that if people were coming out to go to school in UE outside of after the COVID, that I wanted to have a little less potholes there than any other place in the region. So my mother, who lives in the Dawadi area, road needed paving, and I could have paved my mother road because the decision, I have the numbers in the council, but the decision was taken bipartisan. Let us fix around St. Augustine area and UE, because people coming to school, people coming here, we want to fix that area. So I hear you with the concerns that people crying out and people have negative things to say about the PNM, but with any leader or any leadership or any team, people have negative things to say. I think it's important for us to look for the things that might be working and take those things and keep it forward to move forward. Because even in the foreign countries that have issues of gun violence and mass shootings, unless you find ways to work together, the problems are not going to be solved. And as a universal truth, together, you're not finding common ground to work, then it's going to be chaos. So I'm saying that for all our leaders and everybody in the country, now may not be the appropriate time to sow division, but it might be the best possible time for us to find the ways to work together.
So,
But
go ahead.
But there is the perception that
Hello?
when there is the
Are you hearing
perception.
us? Hold on. Are you hearing us, Kwasi?
Hello?
Yeah, are you hearing us? I'm hearing you. Are you hearing
Hello?
us?
You
I think
hearing me?
yeah, I'm hearing you. You hearing me?
Yeah, maybe he has to go out and come again.
Are you hearing me?
Hello?
Yes, yes, we're hearing you. I think it's the internet again.
He was buffering before.
Yeah, are you hearing
You have to.
us? Let me try something.
Take him out and bring him in.
Let me see.
The PNM messing with the line again.
Are you hearing us? Hello? Are you hearing us? Kwasi, are you hearing us?
Take him out and bring him back. Let him go again.
Okay, well.
Send him a message. Log in again.
Okay, let me see.
His internet was buffering.
Yeah, I see. Are you hearing us, Kwasi?
You all hearing me?
Yes, we are hearing you. Are you hearing us?
I'm not hearing anybody.
Yeah, we're not hearing you either. We're hearing you, but you're not hearing us. So, Kwasi, we'll take you out and bring you back in. Come back in, okay?
Log back on.
Yeah, log back in. Let me see if I can remove.
Send him a message.
All right, let me see. I can log back in. Hold on,
Well, he sounds engaging and amicable and likable. And
no, there was a lot of people like him. If they are given the opportunity to come and talk, they.
How did you manage to get him to talk?
Huh?
How did you manage to get him to talk?
Say that again?
How did you manage to get him to talk?
He's my friend on Facebook.
This is orange juice, guys. So don't get Trinidad and Tobago orange juice. So don't get mixed up.
Okay, here he is. Kwasi, are you back with us?
Yes, I am.
All right. What normally happens sometimes when your internet buffers, it kind of kicks you out, and we can hear you, but you can't hear us.
Okay.
All right. So Kwasi, here is a question, right? Many people may say that, and it goes from both sides of the political divider. Okay, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I just take off the camera to put the phone closer to my ears because the audio is not as good as it was initially. So
Okay, no problem.
To my ears.
Yeah, no problem. They say that when
I'm here.
Yeah, when the PNM is in power or the UNC is in power, for like you being the chairman of the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation, is that the opposition people who live in your constituency may be neglected. Talk a little bit about that in your specific constituency. I can't address the other constituency, but for your constituency,
So as I said before, I would have worked on spending more money in the St. Augustine constituency than any other PNM constituency. And also, I genuinely try to serve the needs of people. And I don't know every story. So I don't know everyone who wall might be falling down because we just don't have all the data, and we're working on getting a digital solution for that. So I try to guide that. We at the Tunapuna Corporation start off with equal division of the money. However, that is not always the best because sometimes we need equity in the system. And I don't think any UNC from my corporation or any PDP or any ILP or COP could say that they have been victimized or neglected because they are PNM. I think on the reverse, I think in La Hocata, I grew up in La Hocata, I have not done any extensive road work in the communities where I am from. And that's simply because there are other things that the community would have required that I'm working on. So I try to separate the work in terms of what is the needs of the community and not strictly partisan. And yes, there are times of partisan decision making, but I try to limit that level of partisan decision making.
Okay, I think that was kind of important. But let me go to Joshua 14 of Chowkins, the man who has gone viral across the world, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but across the world. And we had him here, a very, very impressive young gentleman. But I want to ask this question, right, Kwasi? Why does it seem like young black people in Trinidad who might be trying to make an honest living, it seemed to, right? Yes, he violated the law where he was vending, but the way he was handled like a common criminal, and he was just trying to make an honest living. I mean, on the highway, there's a 70 per mile speed limit, and you may go 75, and the police, you may be pulled over 5 times, and you may get 5 different warnings. Why it is that Joshua couldn't have just gotten a warning and tickets, and he keep it moving?
So that particular question is one only the police can answer, and I can't answer for the police. However, in terms of opportunities for young persons and even young black persons, which is what the question is, I try to create opportunities for all young people, which is why we have the Eddie Hart Food Village. That's something the listeners will go and look at. That's something I started before I was chairman. I was the LED officer, and is where that we give Joshua the opportunities. So we need to create opportunities for young people, and that is what I am about. As to why the police or various arms of the state might behave a particular way, that is a question for that particular organization. However, I can tell you for us at the Tunapuna Corporation and many of us in local government, I try to reach those concerns because, again, we just have to find a way to coexist and live together. And yes, vending is illegal, but policy could catch up with the needs. So if there's a need to create vending spaces, then policy could deal with that. Because we're going to try to do a space for the crab vendors by Carney. For those listeners that know the crab vendors, we're working on doing our next space in Macoya. We're working on one in Carapo, because what we have seen happening is that itinerant and non-itinerant vending, so vending, people cooking food on the spot, the demand for those spaces are high, and most people, young entrepreneurs, can't pay the rent. So there's a need for those spaces, and we're trying to meet the need and create those spaces. But as for the behavior of the police, I don't think that, I can't answer for the behavior of the police.
And that's
as I told Joshua when I met him, I cannot do the job of the police, but I know that I can do a very good job as the chairman of the corporation, which is what I intend to do, which is give people opportunities. So the police could do their job.
How are you doing, sir? This is Gary Mahapi. How are you?
Good. So
this
Gary,
this
1
was-
minute. Gary, 1 minute.
Yeah.
1 minute. I just wanted to follow up on this. So, Kwasi, did the MP Esmond Ford have anything to do with it? Because there were some things that people were saying that it started with the MP Esmond Ford, and then there were some people saying that it started with you. Did the MP Esmond Ford have anything to do with it, if you know?
To do with what in particular? The offer for?
Yeah, with Joshua.
Well, I would say this, that I have an excellent relationship and liaison with all my MPs. So I would talk to them about these decisions all the time, and Esmond is one of the persons who supported me at Eddie Hart Food Village. But as soon as I saw the thing with Joshua, because if anybody's listening here from La Hoqueta, where I grew up, I used to sell bygone and bucket and thing and go around. So I know about quote-unquote illegal vending. And I also tell persons I didn't drop from Mars and become a politician in Trinidad and Tobago. I lived the Trinidad experience, and thus I know what pressures and what conditions are present for young people in the country. I may not know all a 20-year-old face now, but I was 20 years old in Trinidad and Tobago just 14 years ago. So as I spoke to Joshua, I went and see him today because he's actually setting up a store on the right off of the bus route. I want to see the progress today and try to see how I could continue to help. But I told Joshua today, I know the things that he's going through now. And I may not know them specifically, but in terms of the general feelings about, you just have to do something for yourself. You're trying to do these things. So it's just about giving support to the young people.
Is there a course for Joshua at the Eddie Hart Center? Is there a course?
So we are willing to waive the first couple months. So the vending spaces go from $400 to $800. The space season is like a kind of half space. And for most of the vendors who they usually make that $800 in the first few minutes of selling there, because especially on the weekends, because we have a significant traffic at the Eddie Hart Food Village. Not so much now there's complaining about parking on the ground. So we do have a small fee which enables us to pay the police, because the Eddie Hart vendors area became so popular, people started to rob the vendors. So we pay police extra duty. So now Joshua is moving on a space where the police is going to be protecting his business.
Good to you. Gary, go ahead.
Yeah, so how you doing? This is Gary Mahab here. So my question to you: the police that engaged our young man there, were they the municipal police or are they part of the regular TTPS?
I can't remember. So this happened in Sawa Corporation. It didn't happen exactly in my region, but I think it might have been TTPS, but I'm not sure. I really can't say.
Kwasi, I can answer that question.
Yeah.
It was the community police. There was a superintendent on a program on air, and they said it was the community police. It wasn't the TTPS.
Well, so what I'm saying is I can't confirm which police it was. It wasn't in my region.
Right.
I will also say this also. The only thing I can say about the TTPS on this matter on a whole is that I have had several discussions with the Commissioner of Police in his community town hall meeting, in regular phone conversations and that kind of stuff. And what I can say is he, as commissioner, understands the things that move young people into crime and understands non-conventional crime intervention. So even if the police, some would say, may have erred in the way they treated the situation, I'm saying from the leadership of the police service, even though he might not be as flashy as other commissioners, when you speak to the man and he starts to talk about the environment, about economic and social factors that push people to crime, when you hear somebody talking about crime as a social and as a health crisis more than a law enforcement one, that is somebody who I can stand behind. And as I said before, he may not be as flashy as other commissioners, but when he speaks about what he is trying to do, it brings me joy to try to support the TTPS in so many things that I do. And right now, as I could say today, the commissioner would have called to get the okay. They're gonna install cameras along the Aripo Road to do a test. So I'm saying that to err is human, and I mean the police might be the ones that make the mistake, or they might have been doing it every day. We don't know, but I think that the commissioner that we have and what he's trying to do just needs to get the opportunity to implement some of these things. I think that we'd be better off.
So you're referring to the Aripo area where the bodies are being found?
Yes.
So I have serious issues with the fact that after Andrea was found there were several other incidents, and we did not seem it fit to put that area under surveillance. I will deal with the TTPS on that directly. But since you are part of the corporation, does that fall in your jurisdiction?
So the Aripo is also formed part of the Tunapuna Corporation area. And in between that time, I can tell you that some of the things that were done, additional street lighting was done. We got a corporate sponsor to give us some LED lighting, those going down. The TTPS started to work on the camera program. So things are being done in the interim, and crime is a significant issue. Aripo is part of my area. Hopefully, as whoever is the incoming chairman, or if I am returned as chairman, get there and we have the reform and we have more resources, it is a bit easier to move these resources quicker now. Because what is happening is the speed at which we need to respond is to significantly improve, and that is one of the things that I would like to see implemented from the local government reform. And of course, as I said before, policing is a national security is a policing, and policing is national security issue. But I have confidence based on the things that I've seen the commissioner do. I have confidence in the commissioner.
But I want to say to you, being that you're part of the Borough Corporation, a couple of things that we want to see from you is mobilizing the community to collaborate in helping to deter the crime.
So we do significant community
because
mobilization.
no country, no city can do this alone. What we have done some things here in the US is the community patrol, the neighborhood watch that engages and participates together with the police, and a lot of volunteering that works in collaboration with the police, because the more surveillance we have is the better we keep control of things. So anybody thinking that the police alone can do and the army alone can do, that's the wrong concept.
But a lot of these things happen and they need to be improved. The going back, maybe I think since I was a first councillor in 2013, these station council meetings have been important. They have been reinvigorated. I've been to a few station council meetings already for the year and dozens throughout the region. There's also the neighborhood watchman. His name slips me now, I can't remember him. But he according to his data, I think he have 15,000 people in these neighborhood watch groups where he goes around and provides the various support and training and the loud horns. So these things are happening, but what we have to work on, for me, is the social issues that impact crime.
No, that all of that has to be inclusive. But what we need from the politicians, the municipal politicians, is to engage the population and the police in finding common ground to work together with the police, because the more surveillance you have is the better that you change the mind of somebody's intent to come into your community to do something. So you have to lock it down, and doing it with police alone cannot happen. It will never happen.
So I'm saying that some of these things already happen, and one of the things that I have significantly improved on my final year, and I hope more politicians do, is the way how we communicate with the public so that people know some of the things that you're doing. Because, as I said in my statutory meeting on Wednesday, not a partisan statement, but both the councils that I have at the Tunapuna Corporation, which are both PNM and UNC, have 7 UNC members and 13 PNM members, including myself. We are one of the largest councils in the country. They are always on the ground engaging people. But what needs to be worked on is the way how we communicate with the people, so people know what is happening. But they're always on the ground. I don't know how they do it. I mean, I am exhausted from doing it at times, but some of these things already take place. The community police in the Tunapuna Corporation, that is Sergeant Morris, doing excellent work. The Officer Greenwich with the police youth clubs. Again, we have the Aruka Police Youth Club, the one in Greenville, the one in Oropoon, the one in Fireverse, the one in Borneo, the one in St. Joseph. These police youth clubs are actually functioning, changing people's lives, changing the lives of young persons. What needs to happen is some more marketing for them so people realize how much good is happening in these communities. But I can tell you, I have been to functions at the St. Joseph Police Youth Club. They're repainting parks, children learning about how to end violence, people learn about how to not get involved in domestic violence. And so these police youth clubs are doing a lot of work, and we just have to continue to give them the support. And what other jurisdictions have mastered is how to speak about some of the good that's happening in the country. And I think that's something that we all in Trinidad and Tobago need to figure out, is how do we highlight the good things. Because let us go with the situation with Joshua. That's a situation that things like that happen all the time, and we just promote the things that are happening negatively.
Correct.
But this time we had an opportunity to say that, hey, this young man now has an opportunity, and we're going to advertise the good that come out of the situation. And many times, even myself, and as always lament to my wife, is that sometimes, you're doing good whole year, and you make a mistake, and nobody in call for a comment on the good things they do, But everybody calling in for a comment on the mistake. That so the 364 days of good is overshadowed by the 1 day of bad things now. And I have not seen any significant social media stories about people seeing the beauty in a repo and the plains of a repo and what a repo means for our water supply and all these other things. And WASA is doing excellent work there with Adopter River. We have a lot of excellent work going on in a repo, but what is spoken about in a repo is only the negative things. And unfortunately, people would have lost their lives there. But there are good things that...
Well, to me, it sounds like a killing field until you guys do different. I would not go to a repo, not Diana. But I want to ask you, what is the difference between community police and TTPS? What's the difference?
Well, community police is a part of the TTPS. Municipal police is one that I think is not directly under the TTPS. But
I think, Kwasi, I don't need to interrupt, but I think it was municipal police then. I think it was.
Yeah, because I wanted
Yeah.
The municipal police falls under the borough corporation, the mayor, and whatever you have there in that direction. And I expect you guys at your level to have that kind of influence in advocating on a situation or improving it.
No, so
Go ahead,
I can speak for us in Tunapuna. We have very little control, intervention, influence in the operation of our municipal police. They have a municipal police head, and they reported we have very limited influence the decisions of the police. And even if you try to have a discussion with them, they have their job to do now. We have very little. We have a good relationship with them. We have excellent relationship. We talk and they come to the meetings. They are housed in my building, but to say that we have influence over them is not. Just today I was called about there's a music group, I can't remember the name now, that I gave permission to vend right outside the market to have a little cake sale. And I got a call from an officer saying that, did you give this person permission? I said yes, they were granted official permission. It's just, I think they didn't get the physical letter, so please acquiesce to me this time. But to say that we can give them the instruction is not shocking, and that we are rightly so, because politicians ought not to be instructing police. That's a dangerous thing to me.
No, but so they have it wrong. And the thing about it is, politicians have a role to play, and if something is going wrong and the police is abusing the citizenry of the community, we have to address the police with that. And so
yeah, are you hearing us, Kwasi?
He's gone again.
Gone?
Mm-hmm. Oh, connectivity.
Yeah. He's coming again.
You see, and some they have a kind of ego down there, that them is police and you can't tell them what to do.
Politicians shouldn't be getting involved in police.
No. The politician, that's why we elect a politician. If there's an issue between the community and the police, politicians need to address the police head so you can rectify the situation. This is why we cannot resolve anything, because the police damn cocky.
All right. So yeah, Kwasi's back. So, Diana, did you have a question?
So
I wanted to go on with 20 questions in the chat too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was watching them. Who is in charge of the community police?
Hello?
Who is in charge of the community police?
We're talking, so I just want to be clear, community police or the municipal police?
Community police.
The TPRC, the municipal police.
Municipal police, so they would have a superintendent or something under the... They will fall under a head there, and they report to the local government. And then they also report to the commissioner of police. So it's a weird thing that the municipal police have been fighting for years to have that sorted out.
So here is a question, right? And Kwasi, we just read questions from the chat, right? It says, Mr. Robinson, you said 2012, while the PNM were in opposition, the Surrey Center was built. So
I didn't say the Surrey Center was built. I said that people reached out and said that they was calling it Surrey Village because of the sorry condition of their community center. I didn't say the center was built then.
Okay.
The center is being built now. So the center was... So what I'm saying is we went there to a wake. At the time it was the opposition leader, and we were in tow with him, and that's when that happened. Then that's when we heard about the condition of the center.
Mr. Robinson.
It was built in 2012.
Mr. Robinson.
Hi.
Earlier you spoke about the social intervention, and of course that's where we start if we want to deal with errant behavior and criminal behavior. Brother Mohammed, who you spoke about earlier, has been doing quite a bit to change the landscape and the mindset of many of the youth. And it may be, in my opinion, a very good thing that he's doing. Do you think that it would be wise to replicate some of his efforts throughout your community and other communities in the country?
So I'm saying that some of these programs are already happening, and they also happen in different forms. So there's the MILAT program, the Ministry of Youth Development that's launched the All-Set program, where they're retraining young persons to operate heavy machinery, backhoes, excavators, cranes, free of charge. There's the Amplified program where they're learning about media production. There's the the farming program, the YAP program, which is given once you pass the first year of in classroom, you're getting 2 acres to farm on, you're getting a starter home, you're getting $20,000 seed capital. So there are multiple programs happening. We just have to continue to push. So the example of Brother David Mohammed is just one example of people doing things. And it is, as you said earlier, it's supposed to be government, private sector, and private citizens working together at one. And David Mohammed is one person who's doing work in Laventille. And there are several other people who are doing the work in Lahokata. There's a lady called Rhonda Jones and the Jones family doing the work there. Like, so I am here on the ground seeing it now. And because I'm looking for the positive things in the community, I will know what things are there positive. And there might be other people who only look and report the negative, so it might be very difficult for them to see that there are things happening. So the program that I just talked about, which is the YAP program, which have 200 applicants, which people getting 2 acres of land, there is nothing else replicated like this in the Caribbean, or there's no other place this program that's happening where they're going to bring new blood into agriculture in the recent decade.
Mr. Robinson, we know recently there's some heat and hot water regarding the SABGA report and all that concerning the children. Are there any of those homes located in your Burgess area?
I haven't. It is. I mean, we spread everywhere, so it is quite possible. But to say that I've read the report, I have not read any of the reports.
So you don't know if there's a children's home located in the area that you are councilman for?
No. That's a different question.
Okay, so I'm throwing it to you another way then.
No, hold on. The first question was, are any of the homes in the report located in my region? And the second question is there any homes in my regional council person? And the answer is yes. So the answer to the second question is yes. If there are any of them in the report, the answer is no. But after tonight, because of this question, I probably will have a read of the report probably on Monday for the holiday.
Yeah, it's an interesting report to read.
So let me get it straight. This issue concerning child, because this is close to my heart. I was an abused child. So this issue concerning abused children, as a councilman, I mean, I would want to know, right away. I mean, the children are the future. They're my is any of these homes in my Burgesses? I need to know if any children are being abused under my watch. I would make that a priority.
Okay, and so you can't assign that to me saying it happening under my watch. So what I'm saying is,
I said I would want to know.
No, what I'm saying is, it is not under your watch as a councilman. I'm saying that children anywhere in the world, Trinidad and Tobago, any region is a concern for all of us. And I would leave it at that now. But to say it happening under my watch in my region, I don't want to assign that.
I didn't say it was happening under your watch. Said I would be concerned if any of these homes mentioned in the report are inside of where I serve the Burgesses, or is anything like that going on whilst I am a councilman?
Well, Diana, I think though, the burden has to be on the children's authority though. I think that there is separate job descriptions.
No. I don't agree with you there, answer. I don't agree with you there.
But you gotta let me finish.
All of us.
All of us. Gary, if you are in charge of a corporation, right, you're supposed to know everything going on in your corporation, right?
No, I am not saying you're supposed to know everything. What I'm saying to you
hello?
Is...
So hold on. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Quinn.
Sorry, so what I'm saying is that I need to know everything in my corporation might be some person's view. I am not saying that might necessarily be wrong, but I'm saying that there are some things that are happening within my region because it is not happening in my physical organization. But there are some things that may be happening in the region that I am not aware of all of it. And if I have to take the blame for that, that is fine. I will accept that blame. But to say that I am aware of everything that's happening in my region, that is not possible for me. What is possible is that we strengthen. What I'm saying is, What I'm saying is that we need to strengthen institutions to make sure that whatever negative is happening doesn't happen. And I'm talking about all institutions, even things that are happening in my institution. So I mean, I've been asked tonight for about policing, national security, children's homes. So I I understand that all these things are hot button topics, and some of them provide political opportunities for many persons. But I can tell you, as the chairman of the Tunapuna Corporation, the things that I have direct responsibility for, I take them very seriously, and I try to serve those things diligently. And for some things that might be happening directly out of my direct control, I try to influence policymakers to do what is right, and I also try to influence the public servants who have a role to play in this also, and civil society to do what is required. But to say that I can be aware of everything that's happening in my region, I will have to take responsibility for that not happening. But it's very difficult for me to have a handle on all these issues. However, I understand the questions by the host, and those something I can improve going forward.
So, Mr. Robinson, let's say a little child comes up to you and you know they recognize and say, well, this is the man. Somebody point you out to go tell him what's going on with you. And the child comes to you and says, sir, I'm being abused and the home is located at, let me use a road in Tunapuna, I know, Page Street, El Dorado Road, Lac Park Road. What would be your action then?
I mean, I take the child to the police immediately.
I just want to know.
Hello?
All right. I just wanted to know.
Yeah, I take the child to the police immediately. I do have powers of arrest, and certainly not a medical doctor. So I would say the police, and then ask the police to take her to be medically examined. But I mean, outside of that, and I would also try to get some follow-up information in the home. But that is what needs to be required, because for this place to work, especially for all our listeners, everybody has to want to make this thing work. This thing is not a politician thing. So you, the politician, work, and then everybody else get off the hook. No, this has to do with how all our institutions function. So nobody is off the hook and nobody's on the hook. We are all in this thing together, because fundamentally this is one ship. This is one country, Trinidad and Tobago. So at that fundamental point, from the time we start to try to find somebody to point a finger at, is where we have the breakdown. Because it isn't coming together that we're going to fix the place, and continue to fix the place. From the time we start off drawing the lines and saying that, as a council member, as a politician, what are you doing? Then it is very easy for everybody to take a defensive position on these matters. These matters are really national issues that require deep coming together to work on.
Because what we're looking for, listen to me, what we're looking for is the leadership, the elected officials, to lead and engage the population and direct. We don't expect you.
No, but
it's not humanly possible.
What I'm saying is that statement may imply that the thing that is not happening, and I can say for me, in the incident where, so what I intervene in with Joshua is something I do every day. It's just that this story was carried to the media. But today I went to Lavantil with David Mohammed. I went and was part of a feminine hygiene distribution and wall painting. I went to a farmer's market this morning and supported 20 local persons. So even saying that you're looking for the leaders to get involved in the community and to lead, that is already happening. I'm saying that sometimes if you're not looking for that, or you're looking for the places that I might fall short, it's very easy to see everything that I'm not doing. That's the easiest thing to do. But I'm saying that, I'm saying that there are these things that are happening. As I said, for the day, I have been in a farmer's market where there are entrepreneurs, people who have lost their jobs, people who do the craft. I would have been in a La Femme TT wall painting and female hygiene distribution.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But the more you engage, and you make the people, your constituents, part of the battle, it's much easier for you, and it's better for everyone. And we have to let people know that this is about them, and they must be part of it to help make it work. The more engagement and endorsement that we can get from the leaders, You know, the Prime Minister and the opposition leader are not on the ground as you are. You are the person that the people are more in touch with. You know,
Anselm, approaching top of the hour.
Yeah, go ahead and take top of the hour. You're the type of person that we depend on. Hi
guys. I have to run off though. My phone is about to die. I just need to call my wife to come and pick me up. So thank you all very much. I will come on the show again and I will reach out to you all.
Yes, sir. We want to do that. We want to do that again.
Okay, listen, I will be here again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, bye-bye.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
Trinidadians reaching Britain, they just bad talk this land for so. Every rumor, every whisper, they just let them run down as low. Well, last December, me and me later, we went to sing up in London. Lord, we had to sit down and work out a plan to safeguard our native land. They asked him, oh Chalky, Trinidadians say that Chambers take away all boroughs' powers, cause it's police who kill Rama, the jammer. Is it true? Abdul Karim police slaughter? The evidence man they cover, and they out to get Ramesh Maharaj, the lawyer. Well, I had to reply, so in defense I cried, Madam, them Trinis does just talk by. All this talk you hearing is just mama guy. It's so Trinidadians just like to lie, they lie. It's so Trinidadians does lie.
Oh, they're Chalky telling the truth, boy. It's in the village with the dark triplets and WZYE 95.9 FM. Our next guest is already waiting in the background, so let's see if we can bring him in. Mr. Annisette, are you hearing us? His mic is on mute. Mr. Annisette.
Yes. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we hearing you, but we can't see we ain't see no video.
You ain't seeing all right. Let me see what is happening.
Put the camera on.
We want to see your face, man.
All right, okay. Let me get the camera on.
Yeah. I think you will see at the bottom there. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
There we go, man. Yeah,
everything will be everything. Everything will be everything.
Yeah, man. In your splendiferous outfit today, man. You know, we want to see.
No, well, it's not today. It's every day.
All right. Your splendiferous outfit every single day. So, of course, Mr. Annisette, this is in the village with the dark triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM.
I had to threaten him as a Bajan to come in here tonight, you know. And you see where he reached, I was going to invoke Buzz Butler for him. He reached here, though. He reached.
Oh, my. Yeah. Was it a threat or was it a mutual agreement?
I think it was a mutual agreement, man.
Yes. I think he was says, and I was getting some challenges. I tried to get the thing moving from 5 to make sure everything is in order, because the last time you all were hearing me, but I wasn't hearing you all.
Right, but you know, things just work out, man. So
yeah. Nothing happened before its time.
Right, it's in the village with the dark triplets. D A G, dark triplets. D is Diana. Diana is considered to be the storm. I am Ansem of Wall Street. G is Gary. Gary is the phantom. And we have another person named Tommy. Tommy's a commissioner here in Newark, New Jersey. And Mr. Annisette, I want to go back to the first time I met you. I met you at a ceremony for Mr. Patrick Manning in San Fernando. And I don't remember if you recall this, but you left an indelible mark on me because I told you about the Laventel to Wall Street Foundation and the Laventel to Wall Street Empowerment Center. And you were very enthusiastic about it, right? We just never really moved forward, but your enthusiasm alone, you know, made me feel so good, even though we were there to celebrate the life of, you know, Mr. Mervyn Augustus Patrick Manning. You know, so that's how I remember meeting you. And that was, I never forgot that occasion that I met you in the past.
Well, I am happy to know that, but I just trying to reflect because I met so many people.
Oh, I know
on that day. That is, yeah, but in terms of trying to progress our people as a people and make them part of this society in a real way, you know, that has been my ambition and it continues to be my ambition.
You know, the thing about it is that what impressed me is that when you heard Laventel, it seemed like you was more positive more than anything else. You know, sometimes when people hear Laventel, you know what that's happened? They'll take a little step back, you know, but you like lean forward and I say, all right.
Yeah.
I'm from Chumaca, Laventel. I'm from Chumaca.
Yeah, but you see, I would have done some work in Laventel through Cipriani Labour College. We ran a program there and I was attempting to try and get the graduates from the program to come together to form some kind of cooperative. Unfortunately, that fell through. But my commitment is to the voiceless, the poor, and the disadvantaged communities. My philosophy is that if one person suffers or one person experiences injustice, everybody experiences injustice because we are all part of this society, you know, connected, right, in a way that we do not understand as a people and as a country, you know, so that is my philosophy that drives me in everything that I'm doing. That I am part of the earth, I'm a physical body, but personified in the divine master and guidance from our ancestral mothers and fathers.
You know, I wanted to ask you something before we go on to, you know, the topic of the day, which was the big march yesterday, right? At some point in time previously, you had talked about an e-identity card system in Trinidad and Tobago. Whatever happened with that?
Well, I was praised by the Prime Minister as a trade unionist, right, making that kind of proposal. All right, I was advised that they were looking to bring in the country to set up the system. But as I speak to you, to date, nothing has happened. And the question of implementation is one of the major issues in Trinidad. We have what I want to call an implementation deficit.
Hello?
You all could load on TV for me.
So we see all that.
Hold on, Gary. Okay, I think it's better now. I think it's better now. Are you hearing me, Michael?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yeah, you can continue now. I think it's better.
All right, okay. So the point that I was making is that we have what I want to call an implementation deficit in Trinidad and Tobago. We talk the talk, but when it comes to walk it, there always seems to be a difficulty. And more so in my humble view, when it comes to empowering people like me and our people, right, within the various disadvantaged communities and the voiceless. And it's something that I've been articulating that needs to change. You know, we need to find a new process, a new system that empowers the community, you know, so that they can develop as a community. Because while people will condemn the violence, one has to understand what is the root cause, and one must understand that a society is a reflection of all of us. And what happens in a society is a reflection of me and you. All right, but some people believe that they're in the ivory tower and what happens within the society don't affect them because they are doing well. And that is one of the major problems that we have. All right, and we have to be able to jump over that hurdle in order to understand that we are all one. And you know, there's a calypso that if you cut me, you're gonna get blood, and if you cut the next guy, you're sure gonna get blood too. And that should be the understanding that we are all one within a society where we must be able to articulate what future we want for our society, and it must not be dictated by the politicians or, as I say, the business elite and the financiers of any political party.
You know, Mr. Annisette, is interesting, right? That will be that was an article in the Guardian on May the 3rd, 2020, and this is the Prime Minister's words, right? It is interesting that this idea has come from Labour. I was very intrigued he mentioned Estonia, which tells me that we are on the same wavelength. Estonia is the same size of TNT in terms of population. It's a slightly bigger economy, and Estonia is such a well-run country on the basis of that key identity, and it helps with effective management of that population, Rowley said. He said if a key identity system was in place in TNT, it would have been easier to distribute the social grants to the vulnerable members of the population during the current COVID lockdown. You know what that reminds me of, Mr. Annisette? I don't want to go political. I don't want to go political with you. That reminds me of the Parliament in 1997, who get the Sabga report and may have said certain things in Parliament and absolutely did nothing. Here it is, you have something from you, a trade labor, and he's acknowledging it. But you see, I am fed up with them playing politics with the people of the country. That's just my take.
Yeah, but let me go a little further. The next week, I was condemned by the same Prime Minister because what I sought to do was to make some inquiries and ask certain questions in terms of how we're going to transition this process. All right, and while they say the Estonian government, they are engaging them, I made reference to a young man that I knew nothing of, Alwyn Wayne. He's from WePay. He's international now within the Caribbean. And he would have made one of those policy as it relates to point 40 to pay out monies from the grant and from using a swipe card. And that worked successfully. And I was accused of being a lobbyist for that company, and as long as I'm Prime Minister, he wouldn't get any work from the government. He's under investigation. Well, I didn't know the guy, only to discover after I got to know the guy and did my research that the very same guy was responsible for setting up systems for the judiciary in Trinidad and Tobago that is working pretty well. But in further digging into why that was said, the issue was that there were a few people who wanted within the society, bankers, etc., and financiers, who wanted to hog tie that platform and to allow this young, black, brilliant young man to do what he was doing was offensive. And suffice it to say, and disappointingly, that he left Trinidad and Tobago and set up his business center in Jamaica. And he's doing well. And if you Google We Pay and All Win Win, you're gonna see the strides that this young man would have made within the Caribbean region and now internationally. Because he's doing a diaspora bank as I speak to you in Miami with the mayor in Miami for the poor people to have access through that platform, right? The fintech platform, so that they will be assisted. And all I'm simply saying is that, listen, when things like that happen, give the young people who are brilliant a chance to develop their skills. How do you justify condemning that individual and the information was incorrect? And that young man and his business is now spreading its wing and is recognized internationally. And we haven't yet implemented the system that I would have spoken of based on my experience when I went to Estonia.
Political expediency, I say.
Well, we see a common thing here, Ansem. The Bible talks about a prophet is without honor, but is in his own country. That is more accepted outside than in his own country. But Christ used that example. Anyway, so we are very impressed about the work that you guys have put down in the country within the last couple of days. And we're trying to get a little sense of direction of where we're heading with this, and what you guys may plan to do. Get a little understanding.
Okay, well, let me say it how I will say it and be brutally frank. That the government of the day misunderstood the mood of the workers in Trinidad. The government is the biggest employer, as you may be aware. Okay. And we had what you call, during the COVID period, frontline workers. We talk about port workers, we're talking about the nurses, the healthcare workers, the police, the army, the fire service, the prison officers, the worker at WASA, the worker at T&Tech, the workers who would have been cleaning the street, the MTS workers, who had the responsibility of going and cleaning all the police stations and exposing themselves, the courthouse. We also had, the daily rated workers who were cleaning the streets to ensure, and all in a sudden, right, the narrative changed into, they were essential workers. They were critical to the economy, and everybody was clapping the politicians. All right, the big business. So that while they were home, because the country was under lockdown, and let me make it clear, that is something that NATUC through me would have articulated against, but we were called dotish by the Honorable Prime Minister. That as it may. All right, and nothing was extended to these guys and these workers, male and female, through that period. Okay? And they haven't had wage increases going back to as much as 2012. And you have the academic staff of Cipriani Labour College, whose last wage increase was 2007. And for the last 4 years, I've been championing the cause that is unfair to the academic staff at Cipriani Labour College to expect them to survive until they're on a 2007 salary. I am just saying that to give the backdrop, so that when the government comes after all these sacrifices, when the government would have paid business people, the VAT and the contractors who was owing money, and we're talking about billions of dollars. And when you look at the workers who were there during that COVID period, who was your backbone, and you now tell those workers that you are offering them 0.0001% 0.001%. What do you expect the workers who are in effect the economy? And I was arguing that on all radio stations, on all TV stations. We must understand that an economy is just a word. It cannot exist by itself. And capital and labor is part of an economy. All right. And it must have a synergy between capital and labor for any economy to turn over. But more importantly, an economy will only survive if workers have the purchasing power to buy the goods and services that is required to keep your economy going. And therefore wages and job security or job-led growth or wage-led growth has to be the fundamental principle underlying your economy. And we must transition from the old model which has failed, which makes it appear that, as the Prime Minister said, you have to let the luxury liner rise for the pirogues to rise up, which is a failed philosophy. And therefore the reaction of the workers wasn't surprising to me. And when we called that press conference, it's the first time I would have seen that workers left their job and came down at the union hall and filled the union hall and were expressing their disgust, dissatisfaction over what the government is proposing to them. And it wasn't a proposal or an offer. It was an offer within the context that the CPO said the government don't have much money, and therefore he want to make a proposal within the current year. He want the unions to give up the cost of living and only concentrate on allowances that they believe is absolutely necessary. And the union, let me put it on the records, right? Suffice it to say, did all that, understanding that we were in a situation and we need to work with the government through the CPO to address the situation. And you came back and offer this, what I will call economic, violent, and abusive salary and wage increases to workers, where the cost of living on basic item, food items, that is necessary. I'm not talking about luxury items, let me make it clear. That would have gone up to as much as 35 to 45 percentage points. And then therefore, how do you offer 1%? And let me break it down. Simple. 1% on a dollar is 1 cent. And if it's a 5-year proposal, you divide the 1% and divide it by the 5 years and see in effect what the government would have offered to the workers. And if that is not an insult and a disrespect to our workers, in the context that you are saying the market force has to dictate what happens to the prices in Trinidad, and you cannot do anything about it, but you are actually proposing a wage restraint on workers in an economy where the cost of living is unabatedly and astronomically growing beyond proportions and imagination. How do you balance an economy and how do you address that? By offering workers 2% over an 8-year period. And as I intimated to my team, for we had a lot of discussions, and I said, listen, workers are going to come out by Mr. Annisette, you're sure? I said, listen, you have to understand something about human beings, and you have to understand the psychic of our workers and the psychology. If you offer workers and you see women coming out, and when I tell you women came out to that meeting, you know something is going to happen. When you hear the cries of the workers at that press conference, all right, the government should have taken that on board and call us and say, let us talk. But there was a level of arrogance that that if they want to get the more than that and they want their back pay, they will get fired. Because we don't have the money to pay. That is not a fact. I don't support that view. And therefore, the reaction of the workers in Trinidad and Tobago, Friday, which was yesterday when we called that march, went beyond all expectations of everybody. I was not surprised. And the press could not deny what they were seeing, because it was thousands of workers came out to express their feelings about the wage increase. And you ask another point, we are prepared to continue this struggle. This is not the first and the last struggle that we will be having. We will be meeting on the 2nd of June again to strategize and to plan how we sustain and keep this momentum going. Because the government make a mistake and they believe that Trinidadians are 9-day wonders. So you as the Prime Minister or the Minister of Finance, who said that I raised gas was and oil, and second time I raised it, the third time, and there was no riot, and he laughed and said, well, I'm going to raise it again. And our Prime Minister would have called the trade union leaders and workers, the trade union leaders as dotish, and the people of Trinidad and Tobago as foolish people. So you have to understand what we are up against and why it is necessary for us to stand up and say we need to be treated with respect and dignity. This is what this is all about. The respect and dignity that the workers of Trinidad and Tobago deserve from the government, who is the largest employer.
Well, so I want to say 100% support from this side, that we are very happy with what you did. There's a lot of support from this end. Go ahead, Anson.
No, go ahead, Gary. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that we wanted to know what took you guys that long, and what I see here is that you bent your back over backwards, and the government tried to break your back. No, there is no money to pay you, but there's money for other things that happening in the country and for other people. As we see that where the money is going. We also see that what I believe, right, is that the mismanagement of this whole COVID lockdown, it was bad decision, another bad decision that made that killed our economy and put us in the position that we are in right now. They didn't have to be the way it is now. So the government mismanagement crippled our economy, put us in this position now, and don't want to take responsibility for it. I don't see, we need leadership that will engage and indulge our population. We need that both on the community level, we need it on the government level, we need it on all levels. This is our country. We all have to be engaged and indulge in the process. And when people start to act like a tyrant and disrespect us like that, I give you 100% support on what you're doing. And I just wanted to let you know, you guys, 100%, 100 with you guys.
I do appreciate your sentiments expressed there, because, as you say, we all need to come together, because, injustice is, if you touch one, you touch all. And if you have injustice anywhere, well, then injustice is everywhere.
I want to let the brothers and sisters on the ground know that we appreciate the coming together, and we support that, and we've been calling for that, and we need each other. We must continue to build on that. So if you could take that message back to them on the ground there, that this is what we're looking for. We appreciate the turnout, we appreciate the support, and everybody sticking together.
Well, I will express that. And I know there are a few listening, because I would have shared the link for them to join, and I'm almost certain that they are listening and they are hearing you.
So, Mr. Annisette, here is something from the chat, right? Someone said, Mr. Annisette, the last contract expired 2013. COVID-19 started March 2020. Why the union waited 9 years to beg for the government to complete a new contract with just income?
All right, let me answer that. You see, and that is a legitimate question if you don't have all the facts. There is a process in negotiations in Trinidad and Tobago, a legal process under the Industrial Relations Act, which was followed by every union. The government is the employer. The government through the CPO would give directions to like statutory boards, the Port Authority, the Institute of Marine Affairs, WASA, MTS, TNTEC, PTSC, and these groups of, because they have statutory boards, but they negotiate for the government employees like custom officers, daily rated workers, and you know, these groups, police, army, fire service, prison, through the CPO, who they call the jura employer. All right, but all the proposals went in, and I could show you the several letters that we would have written expressing our view that there is a need for us to address this matter. But the government philosophically decided to go on what I want to call a wage restraint, indirect IMF policy, but directly affecting us. So that all our efforts to engage the government fell on deaf ear. And some of these proposals are now before the industrial court, which is the requirement, okay? And let me make a point that nobody pays attention to. In the Port of Spain, my union, which is the SWWTU, sat down and negotiated a 12% wage increase for the period 2014 to 2017. And the government refused to give the board and management of the Port Authority, who falls under the government through the transport minister, the directive to implement that agreement. And I'm making that point to say, when you look at it and you analyze it, you will see it was a deliberate attempt by the government to restrain wages and keep it down. Because there is this philosophy that in terms of the functional distribution of profits, all right, and income, it should go to the capitalists as opposed to distributing it among workers. They call it income distribution and capital distribution. So that what we have been seeing, and no one can hide it, the government philosophy is rooted in a philosophy that they believe that the business people, the political elites, the business elites, and their finances are the people who are to benefit more than the ordinary workers in Trinidad and Tobago. And that is what we are faced with, is a philosophy and a model that we intend to mash up. Because there can be no justification for the government not paying the 12% that was legally acquiesced to by the Port Authority management and the union wrong on negotiation table. And we met and treated in good faith. And it's a fundamental breach of the Industrial Relations Act by not implementing. It is a breach of the ILO Convention as it relates to collective bargaining, which is one of the fundamental pillars of the ILO, because they see collective bargaining as fundamental to social dialogue. And the government being part of the ILO, they have refused as a government to engage us in any meaningful discussions. And like every other thing, all right, water does bust pipe, at Trinidad saying. And this is what would have happened because you took people for granted and you believe that people wasn't paying attention. But more importantly, when the parliamentary committee that is charged with the review of salaries for parliamentarians, they increased their salaries as much as 37 to 40 percentage points. No one spoke about that. No one. But when it comes to the ordinary worker, to the policeman, to the port worker, to the healthcare workers, to the nurses who are on the front line there, you are telling them that their value and what they bring to the table represent 1 cent on a dollar. All right. So what you are seeing is a reaction from from workers of all walk of life in the context of what is happening. And I want the person who asked that question to remember that we were getting trust even long before these proposals, that if all they push and all they push and all they want all their back pay and adjustments in salaries, take all they get it, and all they lose, you all have jobs. That was said publicly. It was a threat and a fear factor that was being put into people's mind to bring about fear that, listen, boy, look, I better hold on to this little thing, even though I'm dissatisfied, because if I make noise, I'm going to lose my job. That is what the Prime Minister said, and you can't deny it. It came just like the mandatory vaccination. We stood up against it, and he threatened public servants and government employees that if you don't take it, you will be followed. And then you will also lose your job eventually. The Attorney General said that. And we had to stand up and say no to mandatory vaccination. And they had to withdraw that proposal when the workers stood up. So I'm just saying that within the context for whoever asks that question. If you don't have the facts, your question is a legitimate question. But now that you have the facts, you will understand that it's not now we started to exercise. It is now they make the proposals after all the threats, and it's now we are reacting.
Now, Mr. Annisette, the Prime Minister stated, right, and I'm reading here from the news there, right, and the Chief Personal Officer offered 1% for each of the 2 periods. This is what the Prime Minister says now, quote, let's double that and go to 2 + 2 for a total of 4%. That will cost a back pay of 1.45 billion if that's all you do. And of course, an additional 730 million a year to put forward, because once you change the pay, there's permanent increase going forward. Question is that sustainable? Having spent 3.1 of the 4.2 billion already, that's the 4.2 billion that I received due to the increase in oil prices, and the back pay at 2% being 1.45 billion, we'll have to borrow 450 million to pay that back pay. What do you say?
Again, that will sound nice for people who don't understand economics, labor economics, and the economy. All right, I will remind the Honorable Prime Minister that Japan ratio of debt to GDP is more than 100 and something percentage points. America, and you will know, look at it, and I will look at other countries. But the point that I want to make is this, that you are aware that you employ X amount of government employees. It's over 90,000 people that we are talking about. And therefore, each day that you refuse to engage the union in discussions to conclude a collective agreement, you are in effect contributing to what you are now telling the public that it will cause, because that cause is well known to you. And if the cause is known to you, and we have to make the distinction between the government as the government and the government as an employer. An employer under the Industrial Relations Act and under the ILO Convention for Collective Bargaining, they have a responsibility to meet and treat with the union within a 3-year period in good faith. And the government have failed to do that. And these agreements have gone to the court. Some of them, even before they made this offer, went to the court for adjudication. Right? So when the Prime Minister comes and say it is going to cause that, why will it cause that? Because of the amount of people that you are employing. 1. 2, that what you are saying as the government, that the workers do not deserve any increases over a 4-year period. That is what you are saying, where there is no control mechanism for the increase in prices, and then workers are left to the mercies of the increase in prices. How will I live as a worker? And let me make the point here. And people don't understand that this is more than wages. Because if I don't have the ability to buy the proper food for my children. And when I say food, proper nutrients. We know what the human body needs, minerals and vitamins. They need proteins in order for children to be able to concentrate and study properly. Because if you are not properly fed, we know what are the consequences. So that what you are saying, you are denying me that right as a worker to be able to properly support my children. Before the offer, it was $100 for 3 small chickens in Trinidad. You know what's the price now? $150 for the very same chickens. That's a 50% increase. And chicken is a basic item in Trinidad and Tobago because that is what the average person use for their proteins. They cannot use beef and goat. Goat went from 25 to 35 and now it's $50 a pound for goat as a meat. That is a reality that we have to face. And people must pay attention to those things so that when you make a proposal that results in policemen, nurses, workers who are working in government have to work in 2 jobs to make end meet because they are living from paycheck to paycheck, given the salaries that they are receiving in 2022. And you are not concerned about that as a government. You do not know that that can cause social fallout. You don't understand that when you look at the crime rates and when you look at the narcotic economy that is overtaking the normal economy. Why is that happening? When you have youths and thousands of youth who leave school and cannot get employment, what do you expect? You know, so when we're looking at economics, we have to look at it in terms of the labor market economics and not just what the Prime Minister says. I work for that. And then you had a responsibility to meet and treat with me before those years expire. And we would have demonstrated and we'd have marched before this and the Prime Minister, and you could pull the clippings and hear what he said. All those who come in by me and marching and making noise. Well, let me warn them and let me tell you something. You will get your back pay, but all you will lose all your jobs. That is what he said. So then this protest did not start Friday. It was an ongoing protest, but it has mushroomed into something where workers would have said enough is enough. Right, and they can't believe that a government, and as you rightly say with the wastage and the kind of spending, you could find money to pay the contractors, but you cannot find money to pay workers who have to do their job. So what are you going to do? What are you telling the policemen? That, hey, well, if you ask for more than the 2%, I'm going to send all you home? Let us start to think about what the Prime Minister is saying as a Prime Minister. Let us begin. So I am saying that an economy can only develop when workers are paid decent and living wages. And we're not talking about wages to buy luxury goods or anything like that. We're talking about the basic fundamental needs, the 10 fundamental principles or pillars that govern basic wages that workers must spend their money on. Healthcare, food, shelter, electricity, transport. I can go on. And all those items, the 5 items in that 5 I can call, would have gone up. So how am I to survive? How am I to produce if I'm going to work and my salary cannot make me meet my normal commitment as a worker? Police are doing 2 jobs, nurses, other people, public servants, in order to make ends meet. And that's a reality that we have to face. Right, so that when you make those kinds of statements and you do not do what I want to call a deep dive into the realities, you're going to find yourself coming up with that, because you will say, but why they make noise now? Yeah. But the issue is why the government wait this long to engage us in discussions, notwithstanding all our attempts to engage here.
Now, Mr. Annisette, is it true or is it P&M rhetorics that there has been no salary increase for cabinet ministers since 2014?
2014?
Yeah, 14, yeah, 2014.
All right. I don't know when they get the increase, but I know they got a sizable increase. And the period that we are arguing for is going back to 2012. Mm-hmm. And in some instances, 2008. And I also pointed out that we would have negotiated a wage increase for 2014 to 2017 in 2015, and this said government refused to give dock workers that increase. So then which is which? And then the issue is not if cabinet ministers. Look at their salaries as compared to a police officer. Correct. As compared to an ordinary worker. Look at the salaries of an MTS worker, who most of them are single parents and who monthly wages is 3,500. That's a fact.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. Listen, but you know, there is some perception, right, that the unions tend to support the PNM and the PNM tend to not support them when time comes to the wage raises. You know, talk about that perception. I'm making it as a perception.
Let me deal with that. In the past, because I've been in this business for a little while under Vernon Glean, Clive Spencer, Francis Monroe, who I took over from Francis Monroe. But what I know, in those times, there was always a window for you to go and talk to the Prime Minister. There was always that kind of engagement. And you may recall they used to call Siemens Union Party Group Number 3. Right, because they supported the PNM. They marched for PNM. They did. You couldn't go on the dock and talk Eric Williams. You wasn't sure to leave the port without a bus. That was how it was. And that was a reality. We were able to discuss under all the leaders. And the PNM had a philosophy under Eric Williams. And I am sure that Eric Williams is turning in his grave to see what the party that he set up with intellectualism and all those people have now come to. Because the party is a party that speaks to who have money, could be someone who was positioned within the party. That is what it has come to. And as I speak to you, under this Rowley-led administration, the trade union movement have suffered in the context that there were efforts to undermine and marginalize the trade union movement and by extension workers. It was a deliberate ploy. This is the only government that have refused to place any worker representatives on any boards other than those boards that legally say that they must put labor representatives. That has never happened in Trinidad from Eric Williams' time right up. And they took a conscious decision. Because you remember, this is a prime minister that went publicly and said, trade union, dotage, they stupid. That is a fact. And we have to be brutally frank, and we have to understand what we are dealing with. And it's someone that you cannot oppose. When you oppose him, he gets mad like a raging man bull. You know, so then when you look at all these things and all this perception, we will say at this time is the only time that the PNM does not have a friend within the trade union movement. You have made enemies with everybody, and that was deliberate and calculated. Because you believe that there is no need for the trade union movement like in some other countries, and you did everything within your power to marginalize and undermine the trade union movement. But he failed to realize that as long as there are workers, there will be trade unions. All right, and we have a history of fighting for what is right. And nothing that a trade union or a worker would have gotten, they got it on a platter that the government, in power, whoever it is, come and say, look, we love you and you're working hard, take a 5% wage increase. We always had a struggle. Now, because of the system that we are involved in.
Now, the Prime Minister also said that the union the union have got the best advantages under the PNM government. Ever.
Hello. When Eric Williams started his party, it had about 3 people from Siemens Union who was part of his what do you call it now? Council. All right? And that was a fact. And you must know Ferdy Ferreira,
yes.
A doctor who was part of an advisor to Eric Williams. You must know Big Ben. All right? The deceased. All right? You must know Frank Worrell. And I could go on and I could go on. But the government used to engage us. And if there was a problem on the port or anything, he had the Fordis and them to go and pull the leaders and they go behind closed door and they try and finish it. But that is not this Rowley-led administration modus operandi. And I could tell you, when the Minister of Works and Transport, Rohan Sidinan, came into power, he make it clear. He wanted to talk to no union, and he said and them and the union believe they're running the port and we go deal with them. He said he didn't even know me. He never meet me. And that is what he said. So he came there with a fixed mind. But more importantly, he was made a vice chair of the party. And what is his skills? He was a businessman. End the text. So
I think he was also a deputy political leader too.
Yeah, right. You understand what I'm saying? And then he was put there not because of any intellectual capacity. I brought money to the table, and he runs things in the party. If he say yes, is yes, and if he say no, is no. And that is what is happening within the PNM because they don't talk. But I had a relationship within the PNM party when Patrick Manning was alive, and I suffered as a consequence of that. Okay? But that's not the point. But I never sell my soul. Okay? And then having said that, right, and when you look at the party, and you look at and to see how they operated, and those who the true of the bus, you're going to understand what is happening now within the PNM party. And they could jump high, they could jump low. That is a reality.
You know, it's interesting, right? I didn't understand how a gentleman who never run for a constituency, any constituency, could become in a high ministry as Ministry of Works, Rohan Sidinan. I didn't understand that. While there were people like Adrian Leons who continue to run in Mova Lavantel East and barely could become a minister. He's a junior minister, right?
And then who's a qualified engineer? Don't forget that too.
Yeah, he's a qualified engineer. And he can't get a ministry, right? But Rohan Sidinan could come, off the scrap heap, my words, off the scrap heap, and become Minister of Works, right? It's just, and listen, I want to agree with you. In my estimation, this government under Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley will go down in the history of Trinidad and Tobago as the worst government, my words, right? Because people are suffering more than anything else under this Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley government. And I have coined this phrase. Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley has become the first despotic leader in the Caribbean, right? My words. But in spite of all of that, somebody asked the question, right? if the union had a contract in 2016 for at least 5% and another one 3 years later, this would not have happened. What do you say about that?
No, but obviously, if you had settled the wage negotiations as you're supposed to do, we would not have this particular problem. But you fail to give the instructions, and I demonstrated to you, even when there was a settlement for 2014 to 2017, okay, the government, through the Minister of Finance, refused to instruct the port because the port has to get the instructions to implement the agreement. And allow me to point out, the port was not dependent on the government for wages. They generate sufficient monies to pay their own wages. They were only dependent on the government for back pay. And allow me to tell the listening public that one of our proposals was, listen, why don't you implement the 12%, stop the hemorrhage, and we could sit down and discuss a way how we could address the back pay, because a rose by a different name is the same rose. That is what was told to the government. And they never took us on. And you have to understand these things because there's a deliberate policy of wage restraint and depressing wages in Trinidad and Tobago. All right. And let us begin to understand that. And as long as we begin to understand that the system that they are projecting as this Rowley-led administration is one where capital or profit trumps the distribution of income and what we call the functional distribution of income.
Mr. Annisette, how are you doing?
Yeah.
This is Miss Benskin.
Pleasure.
No problem, sir. I'm so pleased to see, finally, I mean, they had the SOE in place and other measures to keep you all off the streets. So I am so glad that all that's lifted. You're still within the pandemic. You all are adhering to the protocols, wearing your mask, etc., etc. But we got involved in the fight when it was brought to our attention about the stranded citizens, right? And I myself had to help Anselm, help Gary, Tommy. We all helped. I had to help buy laptops for people who couldn't, afford to get a laptop for their child to do online schooling. All of us here. You think is the Prime Minister just don't care? Or is he out of touch, or it's because of his age? He's, for whatever. I am not gonna. He said by no means he's not a lame duck. I remember him saying that on a program. I think it was with Tawari, Dr. Tawari. He said by no means he's a lame duck. In this atmosphere where there's so much death, this crime is out of control, people are suffering economically. I heard a fellow come and said from the time he got laid off from Petrochin, he's struggling to make ends meet. A grown man. People were on their knees at one time begging for payment from the government somewhere in one of those constituencies. Do you think the PNM in their head think that, against the backdrop of all this, people are honestly going to go out there and put their finger in the ink for them and all this back pay they owe you all these things,
So, Mr. Annisette, before you answer that question, right, Diana, hold that question and hold that thought. We got to go for a quick station identification. Of course, it's in the village with the dark triplets on WZY 95.9 FM. We have with us, the NATUC, is it General Secretary?
Yes, I'm the General Secretary.
Right, the General Secretary of NATUC, Mr. Michael Annisette. And we are having a wonderful discussion here. So we're going to go for a quick station identification. Stick and stay, don't go nowhere. It's in the village with the dark triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM.
All opinions and views expressed by the program participants, including those on social media, are solely their opinions and views and do not reflect the opinions and views of WZYE management and staff. You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE LP 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
We are back with you. It's In the Village with the DAC triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We have with us, the General Secretary of the Trade Union, NATUC, who had a very successful march. And one of the big questions that I think you answer this question is, the union's going to continue to march until they get what they want?
Yeah, well, the union going to struggle or until we believe that something reasonable would have been negotiated for on behalf of the over 90,000 government employees. And we think that it is absolutely necessary that the government begin to change their economic thinking and their model, where wages are depressed or it is constrained on the basis that when you constrain wages, that your economy grow. That is a philosophy that has failed. And even the World Bank and the IMF is now, drifting away from that kind of thinking, and they are beginning to understand what the trade union movement have been saying through NATUC for the last 10 years or more, that you must have economic growth has to respond in a way where job security and decent wages, or wage-led growth and job-led growth, has to be the underpinning philosophy or the pillar that keeps your economy rolling over. Okay, and you see, it is amazing that we made what they call in economics the Dutch disease mistake, that we believe that we are producing oil and gas, and there is no need to diversify. I don't want to get into that because, again, that is something that gets the Prime Minister mad when they talk about diversification. All right, because no resource is inexhaustible, as anybody, as people will know eventually, and the world is transitioning to a new kind of green economy, which means that gas and oil will be phased out. That's a reality. That's a reality that we are facing. And it seems like if stick breaking those politicians, yes. And I know the next question was, do I think that something is, you see, when you're living in an ivory tower, when you hear things that you want to hear only, when people have a contrary opinion and you shut them down, okay, and you do not understand that humility and understanding people's needs are part of what you call real leadership. All right, because you judge your leadership by not what people say. And I want to make that point to the listening public. All right, and I want to say blessings to all of them. All right, that is what people do, is what you judge people by, not what they say. And therefore, if we look at what has been done over the years under this Rowley-led administration, you're going to see, all right, that people in the depressed areas, workers, and people like me and you, they are suffering. They may want to tell you, no, it is not so. They may want to tell you, look, under the pandemic, they give out social programs. And I will ask the question, how many people get it? How much fall through the cracks? And how much millions of dollars that was not accounted for? Because the system was designed for that very thing. Because if you had, right, the platform where could you use your card, without money to buy the goods and services, which could have been implemented in Trinidad if we were serious about it, because it was done in Point 40 and it was successful. We want to hear these kinds of things. Do you know that in terms of social program, when I was on the committee, there was 347 social programs. And the most amazing thing and baffling thing is that people could not have accounted for our monies in a modern society of accountability and good governance. Excuse me. And you have to ask the question, why? Why the bureaucracy in Trinidad and Tobago, that if you want to get a license, that you have to take a day off or 2 days to get a license? And if there's bureaucracy in getting things done, it is a prescription for corruption.
Correct.
You understand? And then you see people have to understand that. So if the easy transition of getting things and the seamless comes into play, a lot of people wouldn't make the extra dollar. And then we have to be man and woman enough to say that.
Can eat a food.
Right. We have, you know, and then that is a reality. That is a reality. So it is not that something wrong with them. It is that some of them believe they are ring fence and nothing can happen to them. And I'm therefore that the only time that the people become important is when election time comes and people continue to vote on the race basis. You could say how many CZUNC going and get and how many CCPNM going and get. And we need to look at that, and we need to transition over that kind of politics that speaks to race. All right, and then start to talk about a better Trinidad and Tobago. So what is happening is not by accident, trust me. It is by design. And I want to make the point again. When you take someone and make him the vice political leader of your party, who brings nothing to the table other than he's a businessman, who father give him money. You know his father give him? And he have a lot of land and he married into a certain big company that is getting all the major contracts through this government, who, when they were in opposition, condemned that very company. And people don't want to talk about that, but you have to talk about that. You have to talk about that.
So I wanted to get back real quickly to Diana's question. Diana.
Yeah.
I wanted to get back to your question before we went for the break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, against the backdrop, Mr. Annisette, of all these things going on, you have grown men crying out that they're suffering since their employment was severed from Petrotrin. You have women who, you know, they've lost their jobs. They're back, you know, I personally saved the family from eviction. And I know there are plenty of people like that. I mean, local elections are around the corner. So I think they're going to start waving trinkets in front of the people to try to sway them. But in this next general election, I hope that the people, do you think people will vote conscience and country rather than hold on to this tribal, you know, vote and say
tribalism is part of our culture. It is what makes the two parties survive. And when the PNM lost their election, as you know, it was when various entities came together that fell by the wayside, okay? So that it is in the party's interest to maintain that tribalism that you referred to. All right. The issue is, to me, is what we do, me and you, with these kinds of conversation, to transition that talk into the broader picture where you look at the country. Because the tribalism doesn't really help the lower man. you're only something important. They only come and talk to you and hug up your baby and kiss your baby when election time comes.
Correct.
And as soon as they get into power, the small man who is the heart of the party and who put you in power don't benefit one iota. It might be a little crumbs on the ground, but they don't benefit in any substantial or material way. And that is a reality. So then we have to begin the conversation. And you cannot change something overnight that is ingrained in the system, or as I normally say, in your DNA. So we'll have to do some blood transition, literally speaking, to change the minds of the people, to let them know that we have a right and a responsibility to determine what future we need for our children. Because that is what this is all about. What kind of future and legacy that you want to leave for your children? What kind of Trinidad and Tobago that you want to see for your children? We have a responsibility to start that kind of conversation. And if we start that kind of conversation, it will generate the kind of thinking. And if people begin to understand that the changes is not with the politician, the changes start with you, the man in the mirror. And if you go internally into yourself and you begin to understand that is where the change will start, and you will understand with that kind of change, no one can rock your strength and your power. You will begin to understand, because when you bring down workers to the thing that, I gave you a CPEP contract or a CPEP work, I gave you a HGC house, that price is going out of range now because of the price of it, and I could buy a car. And that is all you see yourself as. And other people making billions of dollars. All right? So we have to transform the thinking of our people. They have to understand their history and their culture. They must understand it. They must go back into their history and understand where we come from. And what is our history, our glorious history, our pyramids and all the other things that I could talk about, that it takes a community to raise a child. And they don't understand what that means. A community. What is a community? What is a child? And why it take a community to raise a child? You understand? And when we start to talk that kind of conversation, and when we begin to show that Laventille has voted for the PNM all these years, and what is happening in Laventille, and why it is happening in Laventille, and we have to be honest with ourselves, then you're going to see the transition. But if we have the tribalism, if we have the ethnic voting, all right, because it suits each and every one of them to talk that kind of talk, because they have a base, and that is their base. And that base will mean that starting with whether it's 18 seats, 19 seats, based on the demographics of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is what we have to break, that cycle, that revolving door that becomes necessary for us. And we have to start the conversation. We must start a new narrative, all right, where we speak truth to power, and where, as I always say, we started bringing the spiritual side of who we are as a human being, right? And we begin to understand who and what we are as human beings, and the power and the strength that we have as human beings. And the politician must understand is that they're doing a job for us. It's not vice versa. You are our public servants. You are working on our behalf, and not the other way around.
And we want to change that to public workers and not servants.
Right. I agree with you, because public servant came from the colonial past. And if you adopt, and let me just make this sample, our system, regardless of what, Eric Williams, he was bright and he was brilliant. Yes, he was a visionary. He was there before his time. I understand all that. But if you take a system from England and bring it lock, stock, and barrel into your own country, and you don't understand your political and cultural antecedents, then we're going to have problems, because the system is not reflective of who we are as a people and what our culture is. All right. And that has been one of the major problems that we experience, because you take a system where it was designed for a particular kind of people and a particular kind of system, and you bring that into your system and say, well, they have independence. What independence are you talking about? Are we really independent as a country? Is that a fact? Is independence mean that on Independence Day you have a parade and we march and we watch the army? That is independence? Cannot be.
No. Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, Mr. Annisette, the trade union movement has been in Trinidad and Tobago for a while. And I know it's human to err. Can we say that the union made quite a bit of mistakes that has the worker at a disadvantage at this particular time, that if they had done things in a different fashion, for example, justice delayed is the justice denied when they take longer periods of time to settle matters, that it affected the workers in a negative way? Can we say also that the trade union movement, if they hadn't aligned themselves with some of the political directives so closely, that the worker would be in a different position than they are today? Basically, what I'm saying is that there are those who would say that the movement did a lot of good, but they also did some things that were wrong, that affected the workers in a negative way. Would you agree or disagree with that?
No, I will agree with you. And I will go further to say that the trade union movement have to evolve outside of the narrow confines of collective bargaining and picking up workers' dispute. The trade union must become part of the community. They must become part of the very existence and life of the human being. They must be able to bring to the table for workers something tangible, because the world of work would have changed considerably, and you need to reconfigure and recalibrate who you are and what message and what you're offering to the workers, because the workers in 1939, 1940, 1960 is not the same worker in 2022. And I think we make those kinds of mistakes by not recognizing it. We hold on strongly to ideologies, and at times we are not pragmatic in terms of the realities that is happening, because the world of work has changed. The question of contract labor, outsourcing of jobs, and the gig economy, and I could go on, which is in effect happening, and therefore there needs to be a transition by the trade union movement, which I believe is slow in coming. All right. And if you don't do that transition, we're going to end up like the dinosaurs. But I'm also saying that there's a fundamental need for the trade union movement, because the trade union movement was always a force for good and for justice. All right. And it is a very sad trade union movement. All right. And we know the history, the question of the 8 day, the 8 hours work, and what kind of sacrifices was made by women who would have died too in the Great America. Okay. And we have to begin to understand that. We have to begin to understand that in the World War I, 1919, the ILO was founded on the basis that if you have social injustice in the world is going to collapse. And therefore they set up the tripartite mechanism under the UN, which is the ILO, the only tripartite body under the United Nations that involves labor, government, and work and employers. The only one, and you could check it, right? And they build all the conventions and recommendations for the workplaces by consensus building. You go every year, and you go to Switzerland, and you hammer out your differences, and you build those kinds of consensus. And that has been operating beautifully. But why this government is signatory? The government fails to follow some of those basic fundamentals. All right. And I am saying, because that is my strong view, I have always articulated. All right. And we would have done some work that would have lifted the profile of our workers, because a lot of people are not aware, all right, that during the pandemic, that the National Trade Union Center went on a drive, and we were able to feed over 1,000 homes. All right, and I mean, tears actually came to my eyes, because we deliver the food and baskets ourselves, and we went into areas in Trinidad and Tobago that I didn't believe that exists in this country. All right, people were eat. It had a lady with 5 children, no table, they eating on the bed. And we carried meat and things for all of them. And it's the first time they would have seen chicken for a long, long while. That is what was happening in Trinidad and Tobago. And let us transition into the educational system. When you went virtual education, without, just because America or somebody do that, you rather do it without doing the analysis that was necessary. Do you know it have children that because the mother or father could not afford to get a smartphone or a tablet or a computer, didn't go to school for 2 years? We had the longest lockdown, 2 years. And nothing was done to address that in a country that has so much money. I mean, look, it was painful. And I could tell you about, because we would have tried to help people to get laptops too, or smartphones. But there was a vast majority of people in the depressed areas, in the areas that needed help most, that help was unreachable for whatever reason. And if you have a society and you're serious, that is where you're supposed to start. Where people are most vulnerable is where you concentrate on to build those groups of people up, firstly. And that wasn't happening. And when you raise those issues, people believe that you're against the government. And if you say something against the government, you may be targeted on social media. And if you have a contract with the government, they will take it away from you. That is how we operate. They could say what they want to say. That is a fact. You understand? So the COVID-19 would have been able to demonstrate the disadvantage in this society and how poverty was held in Trinidad and Tobago, and how many communities were disadvantaged communities in a country that had oil and gas and was making so much money.
You know, Mr.
We were called mischief makers, rebel rousers. Anselm is the biggest troublemaker here, and because he provides the forum for us to thing. So I often respond to him and say, yeah, Jesus Christ was a mischief maker. Martin Luther King, he was a troublemaker too. Buzz Butler. So I'm in good company.
You know, it's interesting, right? And I think we're going to close on this last question here. But I also wanted to add a point, right? I think sometimes Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley believe in Reaganomics, which is like the trickle-down theory. Because the Prime Minister said he have no problem making the rich richer so they can help the poor. You know,
yes, he said that. He said that.
And you know,
he said that, hello, not as the Prime Minister, as someone who's supposed to understand our history as a people and where we come from. and how the society is designed, and you make that statement. That is when I put it in a different way. That you let the luxury liner rise so that the pirogue.
Yeah, I know that. I know that's exactly what you're talking about. But not only understand, I said, Dr. Claude Anderson has a quote that says, "A race that taught to hate itself will become its own oppressor." Let me repeat that. A race that's taught to hate itself will become its own oppressor.
Yeah, I know.
I have read. How are you? Let me ask you a question.
I have read Claude Anderson economics book.
Yes.
And what we have to do as a people.
Yeah.
Right.
To
survive.
Mr. Annisette, we definitely have to have you back in here. But here's the last question, right? The question says, why that big turnout for the back pay and minimum wage alone? Why that march can be big so for crime and the rest of the stuff taking place in this country?
All right. You see, people didn't listen, and I could send the clip in. Before we marched, we would have allowed doctors, activists, and other people to bring greetings.
Right.
And we would have spoken about several things. One, it was our spirituality as a people and our history, and why we need to go back to understand our history. Two, we spoke about the vaccine for the 5-year-olds to 12-year-old. And we warned the parents not to fall into that particular trap. Two, we spoke about the question of income inequality and wealth inequality in Trinidad, and it's something that needs to be put on the table. And we need to start that narrative, because the income gap and wealth gap is growing wider and wider. And that has all kinds of social and economic implications for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So we articulated all those things in our conversation with the over 10,000 people who are present, but people not pay attention to those things. Yes, the issue that caused us to rally was the 2% offer over the 8-year period. But I have been on radio stations for the last week leading up to the march, TV, and we have been articulating these very points that I'm making here now. So that if people were paying attention, they would have said that, and I made the point that the trade union movement has to move out from the narrow confines of collective bargaining and dispute resolutions and go into the wider community issues that affect people. And that is what we are doing. And we would have demonstrated that by raising over 1,000 food and baskets for people in the depressed area. It wasn't for our members. We give our members some who are badly off, but we concentrated on that, on the depressed areas. And that is a clear sign of the transition that the movement is making through the National Trade Union Center to become more relevant, not only to workers, but to the disadvantaged, the poor, the pensioners, the young women, and the children. And we also talk about violence against women. And we want our men to respect our women, because they are the creators of our life. And you need to understand the role of women within our society. So we spoke about all those things. But obviously, the 2% would have taken prominence.
Right. So last thing, right? Someone says, and we want to be a little concise in this one. Someone says, the union allowed the government to close down Petrotrin. What do you say about that?
No, that is not common. Come on. Whoever says that do not understand the system that we operate under. Because of the system where we have a supreme leader, where cabinet is the supreme body, and they can make decisions that affect each community, right, without involving us within those discussions. All right? You would have, and anybody who understood the politics would have understand why it became necessary to shut down Petrotrin, because OWTU was too strong and Roger was too fast. All right, to stand up to the Prime Minister, and there was a price to pay for that, because none of the recommendations that was done by all the studies that they did on petrotrin ever recommended to shut down petrotrin. Let me repeat it again. None of the studies that was done, and they paid money, all the different committees that were set up, and it was two that I'm aware of, made any recommendations to shut down petrotrin. The government had the intention, and I would bet you that somebody who is very close to them going to get petrotrin to refine oil again. Mark my word.
Well, Mr. Annisette, I want to say, this has been, finally we got you in the village, and this has been a fantabulous discussion. I think we want to continue this type of discussion here in the village. And I'm going to call you personally because I got a great idea. And I think, what you guys did there on Friday was, the great thing of its kind in the past 7 years in Trinidad and Tobago that was sorely needed in order to send a message to the government of Trinidad and Tobago, because I feel that this Prime Minister have people under pressure in Trinidad and Tobago, and the people
knee
who are
in the
suffering,
neck. His knee in the neck.
Right, and the people who are suffering most is those poor, disadvantaged people, and we need to send a message to this Prime Minister that you can't just make the rich richer and think they go help the poor.
Nope.
That's not gonna work.
So everybody will understand where the problem coming from. Because if the leader of your country is of that belief, know we in dire straits.
That's why I call him a despotic leader. That is unbelievable. That a man who called himself the blackest man in Trinidad and Tobago, his words, not mine, can make those sort of utterances. And I call those utterances phantasmal utterances. And I want the people to go look up that word. Phantasmal utterances by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. But Mr. Annisette, before you go, if you had to send a message to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, what would be your message?
My message will be, you have to govern with humility. And you must always put yourself in the other person's shoes to understand what they are going through. And leadership is what makes a company fail or succeed. That is what I will tell you. Humility, lack of arrogance, you understand, and understanding what a leader is all about. You have to be able to motivate people. You have to embrace them, and you have to understand that you have to have the philosophy that is nothing wrong in disagreeing with your views, because no man is omnipotent and no one is always right. And it takes a community to raise a child. That is what I will leave. And finally, go back to your history, talk to your ancestral mothers and fathers, and seek their wisdom and guidance and the divine master in all you do. Thank you for the opportunity to engage in. It is long overdue, and I look forward to, again, being invited so that we could continue this conversation, which I think is absolutely necessary if we are to change Trinidad and Tobago and the minds in Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, so one love, blessings, and guidance from the Divine Master and our ancestral mothers and fathers for each and every one of you, and for Trinidad and Tobago, and for the diaspora all over the world. Thank you again for the opportunity. It was my pleasure.
Thank you so much again, Mr. Annisette.
Thank you, Mr. Annisette. Thank you. I won't threaten you next time.
All right, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
So, folks, there you have it. So, folks, in the chat, right, we have Nick Nestor. We don't understand the politics. Every citizen living every day, Mr. Man, live on direct. Nick Nestor, put closing
Live and
comments.
direct. Live and direct.
Live and direct, my part. Nick Nestor, put closing comments in the chat. When new people come in, we have them put closing comments. Albert Montano says, that's why Aisha Chuan slum out in the doghouse. All right. Hailey, put closing comments in the chat. Hailey says, plain to see everybody only care about your paycheck long as they're getting paid, to hell with whatever. That is true. Hailey, put closing comments in the chat. Eugene Julian, put closing comments in the chat. Eugene Julian says, George Weeks had a similar demonstration. Eugene Jordan, Joan Jadubier, put closing comments in the chat. I saw a young lady here.
Melissa Phillips.
Melissa. Melissa had a lot. Oh God, boy, Melissa, you had a lot of comments there, Melissa.
She eats scorpion pepper and come here, boy.
Yeah. Melissa, put closing comments in the chat. Melissa said the man here is part of the problem. Never do nothing for nobody. Oh God, Melissa. I think you have done things for people, Melissa. The union body is really a business. They will deceive the government workers just like the petrotrin workers, cutting deals behind closed doors. Wait for it. Nah, Melissa. I don't think the union was responsible for closing down petrotrin. That was I couldn't see that. Yeah, Melissa said the union allowed the government to close down petrotrin. I don't see that.
Next time, Takesha, when he comes, I will tell them how about victimizing you.
Yeah,
we couldn't keep him no longer.
Everywhere trying to make sense out of nonsense. Okay. So, all right. Sharon Bernard as well. Sharon, Melissa, and those who I call Nadia, put closing comments in the chat.
Nesta,
Joan, Sharon, Tropics, you put in comment too. I don't call plenty people because Rajvi, Takesha, put closing comments in the chat too as well. So, folks, what we're gonna do, right? We're gonna bring back Michael Annisette, and we're gonna just have one program, one guest when he comes in, and not have any other guests, because we have a lot to talk about. So Joan says she's going and drink a glass of Bailey and mind my business.
Show me you drink that Bailey, you ain't minding your business. You'll be in the gallery peeking and listening. That's what you will be doing.
Albert Montano has something for Michael Annisette, boy. Mr. Annisette said 90,000 people employed by the government. Why did 50% didn't come out to protest? But
he said
no. But no. I think Albert Montano being unfair. In Trinidad and Tobago, whenever you have a protest, name the last protest that in Trinidad where 30% of the population came out, or 10%, 5%. Let me go 5%, or let me go 1%. 1% of the 1.4 million people come out. Name one protest. Tommy, you remember any?
Well, they were asleep.
Name one protest. One, just one.
Well, like Mr. Annisette say, they get victimized.
Yeah. No, I think Albert Montano being somewhat unfair in that, you see, huh?
Hello, Tommy.
Did you say something, Tommy?
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you wanted to say something?
No. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, I just think that it's unfair that anytime if you have a march in Trinidad and 10 people come out, right? And 10 people is enough. I always say to people, you don't have to see all, it takes one person. Somebody sent me something, Try sleeping in a room with one mosquito. I want you all to try sleeping in a room with one mosquito. One, just one.
Not a sandfly.
Oh, a sandfly, one sandfly, whatever it is. One. Just one, one. You see?
But he ain't gonna last long with me, answer. I was swatted a long time. He
Yeah,
ain't
right.
lasting.
Yeah, that's all right. But still try. No, you're sleeping,
Nope.
you know. Try
He not
sleeping in
gonna.
the evening.
He ain't gonna last long. I will be swatting him.
You see, because that's what we do, right? It's like when something happens, he was like, well, they only have 10,000. They're supposed to have 20,000. If they have 30,000, well, and like for example, Melissa says those were all PNM protesters. How does Melissa know that? How does Melissa know those were all PNM protesters?
I don't know.
Seriously, how do you know that? Right? Of course, that's your opinion. We are all entitled to our opinion. But we don't know if that was PNM protesters. So what we are saying is that the union only have PNM workers. There is no PDP workers. There's no ILP workers, right?
No PEP, no UNC.
Yeah, but Joan is saying I was there. That march should have been bigger. But look at this. Look at this, right? Look at this real quick. Look at this. When is the last time we see a march like this in Trinidad? But just half of these among the people. When?
It's a start.
When? When is the last time? When? That look like a carnival band to me. Huh?
Yeah.
That look like a carnival band to me.
That's a good turnout. So this will give motivation for the next one.
No, but that is part of our problem, right? Whenever we see, hey, look, yellow boy, that UNC there. Hey, John, that UNC there, John. John. I listen for carnival, you see more people than that.
They say, Peter, wait, look, Rowley reached by the gate. Oh, Lord. Oh, let's stop bullying my prime minister. Good.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So you all see, to me, that's a great start, right?
Yep.
And when is the last time? Let me ask you guys a question, right? The pushback movement, had the pushback movement ever had that much people out? Has the pushback movement ever had that much people out?
I don't know. I can't say.
Well, I'm asking the question. I'm just asking the question. All you call up Andy Williams and ask him, and Mighty K, and them fellas and them.
Nadia said not she afraid them mosquito.
Nadia.
Yeah, boy, dengue and chikungunya and all kind of things this bring. That's why any mosquito come around me in Trinidad, he dead. One time.
Yeah, Jones said I was UNC supporter. So that's good. That's good. Right? So that means to say that Melissa said it was all PNM supporters. Think about it, right? Melissa said those were all PNM supporters. Look, Jones saying the people in yellow was UNC supporters. You see? It's a PNM UNC thing all the time. Anyway, folks, I gotta tell you guys, it's always a pleasure. We always thank you all for joining us in the village. We kept you guys very late tonight. You know, again, I want to say to people, you don't have to see all the flights in the staircase. You only have to see the first flight. Okay? You don't have to see the first flight in the staircase. You only have to see the first flight. And remember, in the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Go ahead, Diana.
I'm going to repeat my quote. I'm going to repeat this until, right? The oppressor cannot be as strong as they are if they did not have accomplices amongst the oppressed. That's my quote for tonight. Good night, beloved people. Stay safe.
Okay. Diana, see if you see some closing comments in the chat there to read.
Nick Nestor, this government killing the will of the youths. If you have absolutely no solutions for them, then you're the problem. Bonnie Roberts, everyone know that the majority of persons employed by government has always supported the government. Did you ask Takesha?
Eugene Jr., one carnival ban in TNT has more people than that. All right. and what?
And who else? It's always a pleasure being in the village. God be with us all, and I hope some good party could really save this country and be safe for everyone. Takesha.
Okay, I think I ain't see no more.
No.
Okay.
Joan tell you to leave ground report alone. That's why you're getting into trouble with Sharon Felix.
I getting cussed all around.
Oh Lord, they don't like you at all. You don't like you at all. They just leave me a motley gal alone.
Yeah.
They don't interfere with this Bajan here because I will come for them. They don't bother with me.
Now they leave you alone?
That's right. They start on me, the wrong person. I can tell them that right now. If you think Wall Street is a pain, start with me now.
Hey, that guy want to play something for his birthday.
Who's
Well,
that?
dead. Let me see if this is it here. Hold on. Let me see what it is. Hold on. I'm a namesake, you know.
Who, Anselm?
Yeah, Anselm Douglas is my namesake. All right, just as for René, a belated birthday. He says something for his belated birthday. Diana, I know you ain't getting man no flowers for your birthday.
Oh, you mean the fig man?
No, I'm not the fig man.
All of them have I in the name. I confused. I over 60. I'm allowed to forget stuff.
Okay, yeah, it's up to you. All right.
And mix up stuff.
Only work with only thing to shell it. But we ain't sharing physically. We sharing licks with your waist. And ladies, all you're saying is put on your. Yeah! I want to hear some noise. Yeah! That's not good enough. I want to see all the sexy ladies in the face. Let me try it again. Yeah! Nice. So this song is sweet. I think I wine on something. Are you ready to do some singing? Are you ready to do some singing? Get this one. Aye-yo. Hey! Yeah! Yo! Yeah! Come again. Let me do something. I want to hear you. Oh God. Yeah. Get it. Well, I went to a sick fight meeting and they clashed with Rio Claro. Then them drummers stand with a fancy drumming, singing some rap way from long ago. And it was both more who were belting as gold skin screaming the cambole. The woman hold them belly and running back on their cry out and keep money. Hey, when I tell them, I don't want nobody to fly for me. A man put everything in the cemetery. When I'm dead, very big news. And so for them boy when me shut and tie. When I'm dead, very big news. Hey, don't forget to tell me mama don't cry. Oh, you know madam do. could never win. But when stand up, you do some fingers. It's man ready right there on the ground. Thank God for the shopkeeper. I think I'm a soul head. There you go. I don't want nobody to cry for me.
When I dead, bury me close.
I must put everything in the cemetery.
When I dead, bury me close.
There's no one them boy will make sure and tell you.
When I dead, bury me close.
Don't forget to tell me. I want to hear some singing. I want to hear some singing. Now hear what you're singing. We're doing it like back in the days. Like back in the days on the bush shop in Laramie. We're going back in time. Hear what you're singing. When I dead, bury me close. When I dead, bury me close. When I dead, bury me. Are you ready? Are you ready? If you're ready, I want to see your left hand in the air. Put 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 your left hand in the air. Let's do some singing. After 3, we're going to take a clean break. Let me hear that. 1, ding a ding a dang dang. 2, after 3, let me go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 6. I ain't hear you. Give me a clean break. Give me a clean break. I ain't hear the voices. I ain't hear the voices. I want to hear the sopranos. I want to hear the altos. I want to hear the tenors. We going again. After 3, let me go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 6. I don't want nobody to cry for me. Put everything in the cemetery. I don't want them. Are you tired? Are you tired? Are you tired? No, wait. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you you're tired. So when I say you're tired, you say yes. Are you tired? Are you tired? Well, let me do some singing. Oh, come, let me do some singing. Hey, let me do some singing now. Well, after 3, let me go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 6. I don't want nobody to cry for me. Man, put everything in the cemetery. I don't want them boy with me shut and tell you. Hey, I don't forget to tell them. Get it. Mother don't and she reached down by the stick blade. She comes to warn she beats her grandson. Begging the boy to try and keep away because last night she had a vision. And in the vision falling some dirty water. He got a gas way wouldn't bleed. Right away she know that he's the behavior. Drink something from hey! When I'm dead, bury me close. I don't want nobody to cry for me. When I'm dead, bury me close. Put everything in the cemetery. When I'm dead, bury me close. I don't want them boy when me something. When I'm dead, bury me close. Don't forget to tell me, Mama, don't cry. Hey! When I'm dead, bury me close. Before I go, I want to pick up the band chandelier. You want to pick up? Go, folk up emotions from Miami. Love you.
Mr. Answers.